The Commonwealth Games with no medal, one less than we did when Teddy Nashimoli won bronze in 2022 in Birmingham. Lots of work for the Bombers to do. Unfortunately for us, we come back home, but at least there's some boxers who have put up good performances, right, and there are some who have announced their arrival on the international stage. For Aziz Ringo, lots of reckoning, lots of soul-searching that he needs to do to bounce back from such a rather disappointing and ugly performance. All right, Daiwa, we can now listen to the Ugandan heavyweight boxer Aziz Ringo speaking after that defeat that now effectively means Ugandan boxing picks no medal at the Commonwealth Games.
Aziz, tough luck. What did you make of the fight? What did you make of the fight today? Disappointment, definitely, but you gave it your best. What did you make of your performance?
The fight was still continued because there was still a lot of time for me to win the fight. Those minutes, they're still match for me to end up the fight. Yeah, even 30 seconds is enough for me to end up the fight. Because when they see I was about to destroy him, or I started landing heavy punches, like instead when he ended closer, he hold me, they'll say, Rage, stop holding what. Instead, like if I land heavy punches, they don't count. He touched me with snap punches, they count on me. So from there, I just realized something's taking place wrongly here in the fight. Yeah, because the offsetting was not well. So
how much do you learn from this, and how do you want to improve?
Wow. I learned a lot.
Really doesn't have much to say now, does he, Aziz Ringo? Again, we congratulate him for representing Uganda's flag at the biggest stage when it comes to the Commonwealth. As we try to wrap up Premier Sport this morning, it's done and dusted. Champions of the National Basketball League, the Namuwongo Blazers, made it to the final of their 2026 campaign with an 89-72 victory against the UCU Cannons, completing a 3-0 sweep. But the KCCA Leopards have thrown the spanner into the works by pulling one back in Game 3 against the UCU Lady Cannons, 70-55. We shall have analysis on that story this morning, so do join us as we welcome more action in the semi-finals of Uganda's top basketball division. Plus, on the show this morning, we speak to Rogers Mato, the Uganda Cranes attacker playing out in Hearts in Scotland. He will be telling us about his time settling in the UK and what his dreams are. And KCCA Football Club CEO Anisha Mhozi has hit back at FUFA's club licensing committee, suggesting they will have to add a few more things to the MTN Omondi Stadium in Lugogo if the ground is to host games in the Uganda Premier League. That exclusive interview is coming your way this morning, as well as we continue championing Ugandan sport. Thank you very much, Sarah Yawe. Thank you very much, Anesta Korebirunji. Do join us on Uganda's only 24-hour sports channel, and you can do that even more easily by now downloading the Afro Mobile app this morning. Because with the Afro Mobile app, you've got Uganda's sport, politics, and entertainment in your hands, whichever part of the country, whichever part of the globe you're in. It is authentic African content. So download it right now, whether it's Android or iOS, your phone or your tablet or your desktop, and you can continue catching up with the biggest headlines around the world in your palm. I'm Andrew Kabura. Good morning.
A very good morning indeed to you, Andrew. And like you said, NBS Sport has more analysis, more of the games, and more of the exclusive interviews right there. If you haven't already, go ahead, download the Afro Mobile so you enjoy all of these whenever and wherever you are. We want to take a look at market performance across selected counters, courtesy of the Uganda Stock Exchange, so you are aware of where to place your money at. And for Airtel Uganda, it is in the green zone, 170 there, registering a plus 0.0%. Well, it stayed in the green zone, just like the British American Tobacco Uganda, maintaining the 11,400 mark, as well as the Bank of Baroda also maintaining that 60.0. Centum doing well with a plus 0.56% increment and trading at 441.26 a share, and the FCU is at 337.0. The East African Breweries Limited is at 7,983.25. That is a plus 2.0%. 0.12%, doing well right there. Those are some of the counters that you should be looking at if you are looking to do some trading. A reminder, today, Thursday, we'll be focusing on the economy, and we're looking at Uganda's journey to building that $500 billion economy. Our question is Uganda on track? And just so you can see, our guest is Ramadan Gobi, who is the PSST. He will be repping the Ministry of Finance.
So what is your share of the 500?
I'm already in debt as a Ugandan. Can they fix that? Because I'm told every Ugandan has a debt of about what?
Are you contributing to the 500?
I am, but if I'm playing from...
From the reserve?
I'm playing from the reserve. But, well, there you have it. We all have a role to play, Dalton. But I'll return the question to you. How much?
Well, let's fix some of the things, the enablers, for me in order to significantly contribute. Why should I, my small garden in Fort Portal, in Kabarore, why should I fail to have water, a dam near me, to ensure that I improve on the produce or the productivity?
Why should I, as a young person, be paying that much for internet? But, well, that is a conversation that will be happening on topical discussion. We're now taking a short break. When we come back, more conversations, including what is happening across the country. To stay with us.
ukutahamwe n'imitwaro leta vip imitwaro 20 debos miliyoni 3 hamwe na nitane z'abamazireyo kumanya bukitiraho era 0 50 50 nkaga ninda bishagikirwe.
Reggae live in concert at Kolo Airstrip na Musambu August chifuro kigenda kubera echomwaka. Get ready for the biggest Ugandan show Mustali ya Kikompora Waguru Matara screen stage ne sound ngabyona ya Phenom Records sinye mitware satwe are badi ngo konsa momo emitware 2 ye mitware 5 are badi ngo gze kumomo emitware 3 emeze y'abantu mukaga miliyoni 2 y'abantu munana ya miliyoni 3 nyiga kamunyenye mu mukaga 5 kamyenye 20 otunga tiketi yawe Reggae yata hawasan Uganda namani hati ninyetavembara ababushenyi igara yantonde abaibanda rukungiri muije murebo mwana wanyu natera nat honda eno shotwagara mwebyani byanywa mate ebishagara ebishapa starting koranyenye Kolo Airstrip Musambu August bitegekedwa Avitex Promotions. Oh no mumanyi King Michael, yo! Hatusa kuserena hotel mukampara ngalumu August mushoja atumye King Michael Coronation Concert shinje mtwaro 15 emeze y'abantu 8 ya miliyoni 3. King Michael agenda kubendongo lukoba kurukoba hit after hit abrikida kabayimbi ba best be bona hono dance all star muja mumwera bireko alina stamina alina momentum alina style ngalumu August kuserena hotel hategekedwa Supremacy Lounge orona wagirwa.
August 2026 is here! And Yada for Life presents Mujatu Sinze 2026 Nsima Edition on Saturday 29th August 2026 at Imperial Royal Hotel with a lineup of heavenly voices and ministers. Are you grateful to God for what He has done and accomplished in your life? Do you have a reason to ultimately thank God for? Get your deluxe ticket for 30K, gold for 50K, platinum for 100K, and the table at 2 million. Doors open at 4 p.m. Buy your ticket at Unique Uniforms, Uganda House, and at House of Rest, former Fidodido. For bookings and reservations, call 0760-595-316 or 0708-766-536. Mujatu Sinze 2026 Nsima edition, and proudly sponsored by Yuga Tunes, Afro Mobile, and Yuka TV, and NBS Music.
But now Uganda mood chitabanga wo. Clear process ekutusako. Bayirini namatuvu atuse mukapala ku Serena Hotel ngabiri muri mu August mushoja atumye strong woman life ofuyire mitwalo 10 yepye mitwalo 15 ku gate alebadi mitwalo 10 ate meza ya milioni 3 ticket zito ndiba ku passport ku John Kala Solutions na ku Serena Hotel wenyene bayirini namatuvu yasinga mu chabaita authentic Ugandan rhythms enkuba ya Afro pop egate ngoma ya wana nechidongo ono ya Africa award winner best female artist mu East Africa choreography yayirini namatuvu screen stage namatara abiri muri mu August Serena Hotel mwana watu naba mwerekedeko fogo karepita bimami bidye be strong woman because sentence chikazi twagala byana byeskoba bimadulo
kyoza sentence wawereza ku simu zabaddemu ekicupuli ky'etaano wereza endala
twagidwa KCB Bank Newman's bakolo bumpwati mpwati Victoria University Euroform Pepsi Mount Caleb International School Bualula Finiva Logistics Afro Mobile Nesanyuka TV.
Tired of the same old TV? Tap into endless action, heart-throbbing romance, and mysteries that keep you guessing. Afroflix, 24 hours of cinema magic. Chino chibanda che nyini only on Afro Mobile.
Mtero bagamba timufubanga nnyo okubeera awali abantu abakulu. Olumu mugana abaana nti atobera awali bantu bakulu.
Get Colonel Festival ya King Saha! King Saha fuze songa! King Saha fuze King Saha! Katana lumisiza Colonel! Mutonde get Colonel Festival! Gakumina nyanga 5,200 mukaga! Yonebe Colonel Airstrip! Pokinge mtwale bini! Yepe mitwale tano! Emeze ya mkande musatu! Waluoina yobu tano! King Saha beko wale! Yuka TV, NBS TV, NBS Music, Yuka Tunes, Capital FM Uganda, the beat from
It is a Thursday morning and we're almost at the end of July. We hope you feel the energy from the Political Command Center, and many thanks for joining us on NBS Morning Breeze. Let's take a look at what the weather is this Thursday across selected towns here in the country. If you are in these areas, this is what the weather will look like today, the 30th of July. Now, if you are in the areas of Kampala, this should be the temperature right there in just a bit. There you have it. Partly sunny, partly cloudy at 27 degrees today and 17 at night. That weather will also be happening on Friday and Saturday. The temperatures will range between 27 all the way to 30 degrees for the rest of the week. In the nights, that will oscillate between 15 degrees to 19 degrees. Now, Masaka today is also partly sunny, partly cloudy, 28 degrees during the day, 15 at night. 29 for tomorrow, Friday, and 15 will be maintained for the night. Partly sunny, partly cloudy for the rest of the week if you are in areas of Masaka for the next 1 week. That is the weather, at least. It is nice. But let's head to Mitiana and find out
We always depend on Tracy's weather to determine the kind of clothes that we're going to put on. But why?
I said partly sunny, partly cloudy. You can
we are saying, yes. And it has always guided us, you know.
Absolutely.
It has always been.
So let me ask, when they say partly sunny, partly cloudy, you wear a coat and later you remove it. It's just when the sun comes.
It's actually largely, I think, for ladies, for when you wear Western Geo kind of suit, it accommodates everything, you know.
You're right.
Well, getting away from tugende Mitiana Tsange, Catherine Namugerwa nate atubuulire kiki ekiri Mitiana. Batugambye Catherine nti waliwo abantu abajjula ebitannatuuka. Bituufu?
NBS nga bw'omanyi nti omuwendo gw'abantu guwedde nnyo mu bitundu by'eggwanga eby'enjawulo era nga kyali kyakusoomozebwa wadde mu nseera otabawo okukaaba omuwendo wano mu disitulikiti kubanga omwaka oguwedde Mitiana eyimiridde ku bitundu 17 ku buli 100 ku muwendo gw'abaana bafuna embuto nga bakyali bato naye nga ebyogera kati ate bali ku bitundu 15 ku buli 100 wabula wadde embeera eraga nti waliwo okukakkana mu disitulikiti ennamba ate okusinziira ku b'ebyobulamu wano mu disitulikiti bagamba ate waliwo amagombolola agasinga wano mu disitulikiti ya Mitiana omuze guno abafuna embuto
amasomero agamu tegaagala twogere ku bintu ebyo sexuality that akantu ako kateeka mu bracket sexual and reproductive health. Amasomero agamu galaba nti tuba twonoona abaana ate nga ffe mu byobulamu tumanyi omwana yenna bw'atuuka mu puberty it is the time omubuli ekiki ekikwata ku mubiri gwe amanye ekigenda okumusongooza era agenda kukyovakaminga atya. Era olumu bwe tugendayo batugamba musawo bye tobyogerako, musawo yogera ku hygiene, ebitu yogera ku menstrual hygiene. Kirala ewamu tetutuukayo, abaana abamu bali wala tebatuukako long distances ezo. Ekisoomoozo ekirala amalwaliro agamu of course tulinamu abasawo abakyalina attitude abagaanye okuwa services eri abavubuka nga bwe tulina ziwa ate nga n'ebitundu ebimu temulimu malwaliro, si buli kitundu nti mulimu amalwaliro. Omwana waba ayagala services abamu balina kutambula ngendo mpanvu nnyo ekitasoboka. Ne resources ezimu sometimes waliwo tubeedde nga kondomu tulina ntono nnyo mu district nga tuwa mantampamante kuzinoonya bulungi. Tukyalina ba suppliers abatusupplyinga nga luli bulungi. Obuweke buno bwe tuyita emergency pills nabwo buli scarce byamanyi nti stakeholder tukwataganire wamu tutaasa abaana bano.
Data njagala okutegeeza nti wakati mu byobulamu ng'omuwendo guno gamba balina ebyokusoomoozebwa amaanyi gamba nga simbi kubanga mu magombolola bo mu bitundu ebyenjawulo tulaba nga basomesa abaana bano ekyokusoomoozebwa kira kye balina okubanga ate tebafuddeeyo nnyo ku baana baabwe ennaku zino ensangi zino nga bino ate ekirala kigamba bategeeza nti ne social media
aweebale tujja kubanga emboozi eyo tugirinze mu masengejje oba live at 1 otubuulire nate abantu b'e Mitiana kiki kye bataddewo okutangira embeera eno gy'otuleetedde. Yes.
Well, from Mitiana, Dalton, we now head to Fort Portal and join Julius Navimanya. It's Kavundeire Market, like from the previous visit of the Minister for Local Government, that is Barambar Gahara, who did direct that market be cleared and reorganized. Well, traders there are fearing for their health, and we want to find out just how dire the situation is or what the authorities intend to do about it. Julius Navimanya, very good morning. Many thanks for joining us. Let's get into the amount of work that the local government in Torin, Fort Portal, is dealing with the recent developments in Kavundeire.
Thank you so much. What is happening right now in Kavundeire Market, they are trying to reorganize. But where you see me coming to you live from, these are over 1,000 vendors that were operating in the site Kavundeire Market, one of the Fort Portal's biggest markets here. But as I report, you can see they are open in this very open place operating here. Now imagine this situation, what happens when it rains. So the vendors who are here, I want to speak to them to hear their feelings, to tell us how they are going through this situation. This is in a new place where they have been relocated to allow the work going on in the market for those people to work. I want to speak to some vendors here to tell us how they feel. Okurungi amote mpako atenyi turare NBS live hatanu na barabya hatanu mkoraho mutu
hanu talarungi amabara kengonze dream hanu talarungi tutwine toileti bakastoma tucheine tuliahi twena ntubonabona mazima emali tukagisubura beitwe emali yona eri mukutunda chene senta musa kufuruka nako tukulkurungi ebintu bikasisikara yona byunzire bakastoma mbatora abana bagenda tulukubi muno mutiyambe
tenjura ke kugwa hatu mukora muta
enzuro bwe kugwa ne tutera manvuli tuyamba no kusweka ebintu nibiterwa enzwe
ati bakabiha hano basobore kuombeka katare kanyu imwe tumukuchetaga kuba katare kumabene mukora mukabire kaine kasasiro kaine bintu
nacho ntichetaga abo kuba nakunu ntwetaga batuombekere baitu na hano nambe tuli batuhe speed abo kuba tulukubi enzura omusana byona mbe tutalebaneze
webare muno. So she's speaking in Rutoro, saying that as much as they support the construction of their market, but they are going in a hard situation here. They don't have toilet. They don't have. They are open to all weather situations. When it rains, it rains. So they are saying that even people have not. The clients are not coming in this place to buy their products. That most of their crops have gotten their issues. The issues. So there is calling for the authorities in Fort Portal to speed up the process of organizing the Kabundere market. Madam Kahambazeo Neyo Katait. Hati numuraba muta situation mutishangire muta hano.
Stress ya mani muno bali mukusindika kuli mu miti yankuberi mukutera. Tumanyire nekyo kukora turukubi muno twina maloni gabandi ebitebe bikibiki turukubi muno hati nanambatekera na hano mu rugudo bali mukutuhambya ngo turuke tumanyire tukoleke mutubwane.
Iyo no bazachi
Amabara asunga black seda ito turukubi muno abokuba twalitumazira kusubula ebintu byetu byomera kuli obuti babusesa sazi tuli hano kandi twina maloni gabandi ana harugudo bali mukutuhambyao mbere situli mtizirungi bali no kukwata ikubyo kuya kule mutoraukizea bwangu hakire mtugareye sasore loni yabani
kare webare muno mzee turabaza nayo obwiro bundi baitu situation nukweriye orire aba nabo bantu baita bakubaza bano nabo basubuza babere hano Kabundere. So all this situation came after the visit of the Minister of Local Government, who found heaps of garbage in the Kabundere market, and people were working in the mud, and they didn't have toilet as well. So he said they should be relocated for authorities to work to organize their market, and thereafter be taken back to that very market. But we shall follow this story. Even when they finish the construction of the market, we shall make sure we bring it to you, our viewers, what exactly is happening. Every update, the update after update. That's it for now. From Fort Portal Tourism City, back to you at the Political Command Center.
Otiomuno Akik Nabimanya, that is a situation, and hopefully the authorities do work expeditiously to have that handled. We have many other developments happening around the country and want to take you to the areas of Bubende this morning. Sewaja twegaseko ate okwemulugunya bannakibina cha NUP badde baina kibagala akakiiko k'ebyokulonda katangazemu ko Fred Sewaje amacha amalungi tuwe bisingawo ku mboze
Tracy wamu ne Simon ne Dalton mwasize mutya n'abatulaba ku NBS kakati no oluvannyuma lw'akalulu abasente b'ebyalo eno mitundu eby'emubende ebyalo 15 okulonda okukwayiika era nga akalulu ako tekaabalibwa kakati no bannakibiina ki NUP mu bitundu eby'emubende na kawungeezi kajjo baasibye kakiiko ka byakulonda ku ofiisi zaabwe ez'Emubende ku kyalo ekimanyiddwa nga Kigagga mu kibuga eky'Emubende wakati nga baagala abantu baabwe ebyalo bisatu okuli ekyalo kya Kibaati, ekyalo kya Kattabalanga n'ebyalo ebirala nga bagamba nti abantu baabwe mu bifo bana NRM gye badduse ne bava mu layini bo aba NUP tebaalangiriddwa kyokka ate mu bitundu ewali aba NUP abadduse mu layini aba NRM baalangiriddwa. Kakati nno bano ekyasinze okugenda maaso n'okubeera nga kibongera amaanyi ate kwe kwegattibwako munnakisinde Kifeero yu akulira ekiwayi ky'abakyala mu bbendobendo lya Wamala omukyala Joan Mugisha nga naye agamba nti tebayinza kukkiriza byakoleddwa mu bululu obw'enjawulo. Kakati nno bano embiranye baasize nnyo kugiteeka Kaluki Kattabalanga kibiina ki NUP gwe babadde bagamba nti yabadde awangudde akalulu kyokka wa NRM n'adduka mu layini ekyalese nga kibatabudde era akalulu ne kayiika. Kakati nno ogenda kusooka okkirize ate okulaga embeera nga bwe yabadde woofiisi z'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda nga bano basimbye Nakakongo nga bagamba nti baagala waakiri abakulira okulondeesa mu bitundu eby'Emubende balangirire bulangirizi bantu baabwe abo abaasigadde mu layini nga ba NRM baziddusemu. Katulabe embeera nga bwe badde olunaku olw'ejjo.
Tuzo wano ku Electoral Commission olwaleero kusaba ab'ebyokulonda bategeka mu Mubende balangirire Masajja ge John ng'omuwanguzi wa Kattabalanga B era bamukwase sitampu kati. Abanuupu badduse mu kalulu mu ringi naye ab'NRM abasigadde mu layini ne balangirirwa nti be bawangudde, naye ate awaabadde ab'NUP nga owa NRM yadduse mu ringi ate ab'NUP ne babagaana balangirira. Kati twagala ekyo kisazibwemu era abafu abanuupu babasigadde mu ringi balangirirwe ng'abawanguzi era sitampu zaabwe zibakwasibwe balamule ebyalo byabwe. Omusajja tumazeeko emirembe tetugenda kukola naye ate naye munamukaka ne muwa sitampu eyo n'asigala nayo tajja kubeera ku kyalo.
Tracy kakati ne Dalton embeera bwe tubebadde ku kitebe kya NUP omukyalo oyo abadde mu kiteeteeyi ekya Square ye Joan Mugisha munnakisinde Kifeero yu ng'asibye Nakakongo ng'agamba nti munna NUP alina ogenda maaso n'okubeera nga alangirirwa. Kakati nno olunaku olw'ejjo twafunye amawulire ag'essanyu nti ate kakati obululu obutaalondeddwa baakuddamu okulonda ng'ennaku z'omwezi lumu. Kati tulinze tulabe embeera enaaba etya mu bitundu oba mu byalo ebitaalonze naye nga bo banna NRM ate nga bayita mwogezi waabwe Twaha Mukomazi bo baasanyukidde ebyabadde mu kulonda kubanga ekibiina ki NRM Mubende kyafunye ebitundu 82 ku 100, NUP n'efuna ebitundu 3 ku buli 100 so nga ate aba independent baakoze ebitundu 15 ku 100 ku byalo 612 NRM yatteko ebyalo 490 mu kimu. Kale nno Dalton wamu ne Tracy mugenda kunzikiriza tujja kubeera nga tulaba embeera nga bw'enaatambula mukkirize nkumewo gye muli Political Command Center ate mutungireyo n'ebifa mu ggwanga ebitundu ebirala.
Well, tweyanziza ate Fred Sewaje. More on that story will certainly be coming up later in our broadcast. We're still taking you around the country in terms of what is happening. Dalton, where do we head to?
We tugende mpiji nate tulabe ki ekiriyo sekidde gyali atutegeeze biki ebiri mu kitundu ekyo. Tuwulira nti omu ku minisita yakaabye yabadde yeekoza biki oba kipya nnyo kyeyalabye. Let's find out what is happening. Yes, sekidde amawulire ge tufuna okuva eyo si malungi. Ekituufu ki minisita ekyamukaabizza?
Okay, Dalton wamu ne Tracy muno omulabi wa NBS atakedde kamachago olunaku olwaleero njagala okutegeezaako nti ensonga ezajje minisita omubeezi w'ebyobulambuzi ate era omubaka wa Mawokota South Susan Nakawuki yembeera gye yasanze ku ddwaliro lya Bukasa FS Center 2 abatuuze lye bamaze ebbanga ng'ate bakaaba. Oluvannyuma lw'okutuukayo yasiŋŋaanye embeera eyamwewunyisirizza ddala omwabadde okutuuka ku ddwaliro nga ebisenge by'amalwaliro abasawo babyanikamu bwanisa ate muwogo waabwe gwe baasala kwoteeka nti nga n'abasawo ku ddwaliro okwo babiviirako ddala nga n'abamu tebakyajjukira lunaku ki lwe basemba kubanga ate bagenda ku malwaliro okwo. kakati minisita yavuddewo nga avumiridde abakozi ba gavumenti bonna gye bali mu ggwanga lyonna okwetooloola awamu ng'era agamba nti oyo awulira nti nawulira ayagala kuvumaganya gavumenti omulimu agusuulewo ate okusinga ovumaganya gavumenti nti yo yeetakola naye ng'ate yeekola kyenotteeka okukola. Njagala okkiriza enkulage minisita embeera nga bwe yabadde emususeko n'ebigambo kyo byayogedde ng'atuuse ku ddwaliro eryo erya Bukasa.
Kyetusanze wano si kirungi n'akatono. Ekituwanirizza mu ddwaliro rumu gy'osookerako nga waakayingira baajaniseemu muwogo ow'embajjo. Mu ddwaliro health facility baaniseemu muwogo. Eddwaliro lino lina basitaafu bali 8. Ku 8 tusanzewo sitaafu omu. Gavumenti isobola kubanga esasula abantu 8 ne wabanga waliwo omu. That is corruption, and we cannot condone acts of corruption in any way. Waliwo ne ya subcontracting omulimu ye ne yeegendera kati yafuna cash lwayiseeyo kenoli n'amwokyayo ebiri akola omulimu ogwo substantively ye yasenguka. Abantu abavumaganya gavumenti be bakozi ba gavumenti bennyini. Gavumenti ekola ogwayo naye abantu beesasula bagiyambeko okukola omulimu ne batakola kye beetaaga kukola. Abakozi ba gavumenti wenna we muli woba owulira tosobola kukola mulimu gavumenti gwekuwadde resigninga nolekera okutwala ssente z'omusolo ng'abantu tobaweereza.
Kakati Tracy njagala okutegeeza nti embeera yasusseko minisita era yalabiddwako minisita nga atuuse mu mbeera ey'ebiyengeyenga okumuva amaziga ng'agamba nti tayinza kukkiriza mbeera ng'eno okuba nti abasawo basasulwa okubeerako abasawo 7 ku ddwaliro naye nga newe yatuukiddeyo yasanzeko yintaani yekka nga yaliwo yakola omulimu ogw'abasawo 7 omulina okuba nti mulimu n'abamu abaweebwa omulimu ku ddwaliro eryo ng'ate bo baasalawo ku subcontractinga mulimu ne bagukwasa abalala bo ne bagenda n'ate ne basigala nga bafuna omusala gwa gavumenti. Kakati neeno yategeezezza nti kyagenda obbakola kiri kimu kyokka kyakuba nti ate abaleetera minisita owa local gavumenti ayongere okunoonyereza okusinziira ddala ku ye nga bw'anaaba alabye okwawukana ku ye so kakati balabe ki kye bayinza okuba nga bakolera abasawo abo abali mu disitulikiti empigi abeesuuliddeyo gwa Nagamba okituuka ku kukola omulimu gwabwe. Byebiri eno njagala okkirize nkomewo gy'oli ate otongereyo mu bitundu ebirala.
Toyanza nnyo omukulu ne minisita akitegedde ne minisita amba imanyi mbu waliwo abasingako kati agambye ajulidde minisita wa local government Balambargala ayitireyokko alabe ekiriwo. But also this is typical especially in government institution including education. Some people go onto the payroll but because they are sent to remote areas they decide to hire teachers that are not on payroll to teach on their behalf and they go away from that area. I don't know whether you understand that situation.
I do get the situation.
There's a whole audit that needs to be done on
and
this
an overhaul of the entire system as well.
Because government loses money. If I'm paying 2 million on payroll, I'll give this teacher who doesn't have a job, I'll pay him 600 or 800 and I remain the balance.
Well, Minister still has quite the tour. If, someone said about government, Tuyambe has changed. But we'll be we'll be going to Bukomansimbi next, and we're looking at farmers that are raising alarm over fake inputs. Zainab Namsazi tukubuuza nnyo amachama nungi tubulire ebisingawo ku balimi na kiki kye bagamba mu bitundu ebyo.
Nanza Tracy, nomero wa NBS Television njaga okutegeeza nti nebbanga libadde nga ddene ate nga abalimi mu bbendobendo lino ery'e Masaka n'okusinga ddala mu disitulikiti ey'e Bukomansimbi balajana olw'ebigimusa eby'ebicupula wamu n'ebintu ebirala ebikozesebwa mu nnimiro eby'ebicupula bagamba nti nno ebintu bino bibafiiriza nnyo ekitagambika nga abalimi bano bagamba nti nno ogula ekigimusa okusobola okugimusa ebintu byo ate ne weekanga nga bifudde bufiso nga ne wogula eddagala okufuuyira omuddo oba okutta ebiwuka ebirala ebitawaanya ebirime ate weesanga nga mpawo na kimu kye bikoze kati nno abakulembeze ne bategeeza nti eno nno y'ensonga lwaki bakoze omwoleso gw'ebyobulimi okusobola okulaga abalimi bano eno abantu abalina ebintu ebituukaganya omutindo naddala abo abalina ebigimusa ebiri organic ebitaleeta bulabe ku ttaka awamu n'obutonde bw'ensi era okusinziira ku Kwingina w'ebyobulimu mu disitulikiti ey'Obukomansimbi Mubaraka Kawo ategeezezza nti nno ekirala ekyabakozesezza omwoleso guno kwe kuggula bannabukomansimbi okubeera ng'ate batunuulira ekirime eky'emmwanyi wabula bategeeza nno bagaba bagula amaaso babeere ng'ate beenyigira mu birime ebirala awamu ate n'obulunzi. Bingi ebyayolesezza era omwoleso guno gubadde wali mu kisaawe ky'ekigangazi era ng'ebintu bingi nnyo babyolesezza omuli okulaga abantu engeri ennungi ey'okulunda ebyennyanja, okulunda ensolo zibagamba nti nno zino ate bazikozesanga emmere y'enkoko awamu n'ebisolo ebirala. Wabula Tracy ne Dalton n'omulala waffe musikize tubeere nga twongera okufuna abakulu bano nga bongerera ddala okuttanya ku mbeera eno.
Kati abalimi bonna twayagadde tubateeke wamu ayige nti wemba nime emmwanyi neetagisa okulunda, wemba nnunda neetagisa okubeerako ne side income y'ebyennyanja ebidiba, wemba nina ebidiba neetagisaako value chain endala nti oba nsobola okukola wayini nti ebigimusa nno biteeka mu mmwanyi nti okufukirira nako weekuli. Kati ekyo kimentaininga omulimi okubeera ng'omwaka teyesiba ku mmwanyi zokka nti zaalinda okola ki okufunamu.
Omuntu asobola okuba ng'alina eka emu oba bbiri n'asobola okulima n'asobola okulunda n'asobola okwejja mu bwavu mu mbeera ey'enjawulo. Bw'ofuuyira eddagala effu olwonoona ekirime ky'omulimi oyo emmwanyi asimbidde emyaka 2-3 n'osanga addayo adde ku ziro. N'olwekyo tusaba abantu bonna aboolesezza mu mwoleso guno by'ebitongole bye tukkiriziganya nabyo era tugenda kulaba nti mobilization buli gye tulaga tugenda kuba tubasomera ebitongole bye tulina okukolagana nabo era ebimu tugenda kubasaba baggulewo workstations amaduuka ag'enjawulo ag'ebyobulimi mu trading centers ez'enjawulo tukolagane nabo tumanye nti tusuubula.
Embeera bw'etyo nno weeri mu disitulikiti eyo ey'Obukomansimbi. Tracy n'omulayi waffe kankuma mu Political Command Center.
Weewaawo tweyanziza Zainab Namusaazi embeera bwetyo bweyimiridde mu bitundu ebyo eby'Obukomansimbi. We will have more on that particular story as well later on, but it is quite the morning when we're talking about things that are happening in the country. Lira is also on our radar, and it is Isaac Otui. This time, Dalton, it is interesting that you're looking at transport operators that are protesting.
Have you ever been to Lira?
Yes, I have. To all the cities of this great country.
10 years ago?
No, recently. Not 10 years ago. But I want to join Isaac Otui and get into the conversations of why this is the case with the transporters. What are they particularly protesting about, Isaac?
Well, of course, the concerns here follows some of the directives that were made by Minister of Works and Transport, and of course, the enforcement on a crackdown targeting bus operators and also some of the taxis that fly along the routes that either leaves Kampala going to different routes or leave places like Lira going to Kampala. Take, for instance, the buses that leaves Lira in the morning or in the midnight. And of course, the concerns that they're raising is that some of the enforcement that is being done is delaying of course, movement of buses from these different routes. I talked to Okello, who is the chairperson for buses and truck drivers network for Northern Uganda, and he says some of these concerns arises from making buses to sleep with passengers along, of course, the routes. Now, if you look at some of the tweets that are coming from Uganda Police Force, we have seen, like, for instance, yesterday, about 7 buses that were stopped from ferrying transporters, and simply because they violated the conditions that were given to them by police, including some of the timely arrival of their buses at the bus terminals. For now, let's get to listen in from Okello.
We are currently operating but under fear. Reason that after the incident of Kapchorwa, there are changes on the checkpoints, and all these changes they were put to minimize the rampant accident in our country, which we really appreciate the government for that effort. But as association, of Northern Uganda Bus and Truck Drivers Network. We would also appreciate the government before they put the changes, since we are the part of the stakeholders in this transport industry. We should have been also invited or consulted. Then they said, we are planning to begin implementing new changes so that it doesn't get us a surprise. Then when you look at some guidance, the guidelines that they are put in place, initially, government, through Ministry of Works and Transport, had guided that if the drivers rested for 8 hours on our route chart, you are ready to take another trip. But now, when you go to the checkpoint, it's not about the 8 hours. They just said you need to return the next day, the following day. That's the terms they're using. So all this we really appreciate. But now the challenge is, how will the lay person get to know that there are these new guidance put in place? We were supposed to be consulted as stakeholders. We meet the ministry together with the bus owner, police department, and now we sit and we agree. Then there are some advice that can even come from our side.
Well, according to the Superior of Police, Michael Kananora of Directorate of Traffic Safety, they say that violation of these route charts are essential to, of course, movements of these buses, because they are put in place to manage fatigue and also anxiety among the drivers. Also, to stop them from making return journeys from the different places that they are traveling. We're to be seeing an impending meeting that they say they have called over the coming weekend, and this particular meeting is expected to deliberate on some of the issues and concerns that are coming from the transport sector. Tracy and Dalton. For now, I'll hand over back to you at the command center.
Isaac Otui, many thanks for joining us this morning. Hopefully the matter is resolved, and resolved rather quickly. Yep, that's where we are.
So people speak about 1st August. Bino byatandika dimbu 1st August is girlfriend. Byatandika di.
Do you have? These are things for people who have, or things who subscribe.
People, you'd rather go to Asone's event, Isano's event. Stop those things.
That's days later, but it's important that they start to get their, make sure they've paid.
Of course, of course. Hey, our colleagues Mark Vex and Uncle Mark. Next Radio 106.1. Let's find out what is happening across and partake of, yes, there you go. Ooh, the vibe.
Good morning, Dalton.
Good morning.
What day of the week is this?
Thursday.
So let's bring it up to speed. On Next Radio, we don't call it Thursday. We call it Deputy Friday.
Yeah. Oh. And that's a new one.
And on Deputy Friday is where the weekend moods are activated.
Where is Sibia?
Well, we found that she's putting her ratings down. Sibia should be on NBS Television in a bit because
Sibia, come.
The vibes are here.
We will not accept.
See, this is what we mean. The vibes are here. This is what we mean. This is exactly what we mean. This is where she belongs. The vibes and the ratings are high on NBS.
Yes.
Higher.
Victoria, as your supervisor, you are hereby put on PI.
Today we have a lot of things in store for you.
And did you actually know that we shall be hosting the Honorable Chris Baryomunsi on Meet the Boss right here?
In just about 4 minutes from now, he will be joining us in studio.
All right, that is good. That's a good one.
So all the questions you have, please let us know. We shall be able to.
So the time he collapsed in Kabale, what lesson did he pick as a health minister?
Must have been a scientific lesson. We shall ask that question. Please write it from Dalton Kawesi.
But I also particularly like one of you has done his voice justice, and I would love a little, they call it a cappella or a cameo, like just do that for us one more time.
Yes. Have you heard that, Mark?
He's pretending he did not hear that. But we also have an interesting guest. I know you do not want to get into that, but we have an interesting guest here, the PSST, Ramadan Gobi, and we'll be talking money. And what your contribution is to the $500 economy that we are leaping into. I'll be taking 2 questions. Which one would those be?
Mine will be, what is the possibility of getting a little bit of that share without hassle? That's mine.
But you have to put in.
Tebakusumbwa n'ebyo. Macbex tebakusumbwa na Uncle Mark. Give us a capella. Want to hear? That's what you want.
You want to ask the question?
No,
capella. Forget about the
there you do. The voice
will come.
We can hear the voice come through. Yes, there we go.
We want a capella.
We have
Honorable Chris Bariomunsi, you have transitioned a number of sectors.
And transitioning is a part of everybody. It is a part of nature. That's something that you cannot go away from. And as a man who has served the country in different capacity, and as a scientist, because this is the
Let's go for a break.
Kumulembe kuna abakozi bakyayambala ebintu ebyo bisambala bannannyini makolero zi kampuni abakozi mubafunire uniforms eziri ku mulembe okuva mu George Color Solutions banyirire bafulume mu material ne design ebiriko ate nga kuliko n'akabonero ka kampuni yo olwo business babantu mu maaso bagimanye tosubwa campaign eno omulamu akugamba nti stand out mu uniform yo ne George Color Solutions bali ku Prime Complex ku Johnson Street shop number C24 esimu noti 7772 anamu5 91 mwenda wamune ku www.judecolorsolutions.com.
So tasty, delicious, some snacks, so yummy, yummy,
yummy, yummy.
Some snacks, it's so right, tummy, tummy. Just a grabbing when you're hungry. Some snacks, so yummy, yummy.
Hello, boy and girl, come here, son. Uncle Son's got you. May have some snacks for you. Your man, papa, your granny and your picnic. Well, if I can, the snacks for you. Come pick anything you want. Some snacks for your tummy. Yummy, yummy.
Sam's, delivering memorable moments in every household.
Hey, travelers! Are you a family gearing up for that big vacation, a hustler working abroad coming home, or your squad chasing sunsets and passport stamps? It's time you lock in. Say goodbye to long airport queues, shocking roaming bills, and the stress of hunting for local SIM cards, because now you can travel like a local. Stay connected in over 180 countries. Just scan, tap, and boom! Instant data the moment you reach your destination. Get your Rogue Travel eSIM today at travel.roguetelecom.co.ug. Contact us on 020-5000123.
Did you know? Brought to you by
Fake spare parts can be deceiving. They seem cheaper, they seem good enough, they get you moving for now. But what you don't see is the hidden cost, damage to your car, endless repairs, wasted time off the road, and potential risk to lives. In the long run, fake parts cost you more. Choose genuine parts from any CFA or mobility location countrywide.
Did you know? Brought to you by
Ready to kickstart your body goals? Look no further. Vine Fitness Gym has got you covered. Located in the heart of Bokoto, Vine Fitness is the state-of-the-art fitness center packed with everything you need to hit your body goals. From the cutting-edge cardio machines and strength training equipment to fully equipped functional training zones and relaxing areas, all designed to support your fitness and wellness journey. Looking to tone your body, build muscle? Our program includes expert strength training and even access to our steam bath. So what are you waiting for? Visit us today at Chirabo Complex, 3rd floor, Bukoto. Vine Fitness Gym, your body, your goal, your gym.
Slow melting, smooth coating, long lasting. Stand a chance to win your share of 17.5 million shillings in prizes. Buy any Cadbury Dairy Milk chocolate, scan the QR code or WhatsApp hi. Cadbury, there's a glass and a half in everyone. T's and C's apply.
Festival ya King Saha! King Saha fuza songa! King Saha fuza King Saha! Katana lumisiza Kolono! Mutonde ke Kolono Festival! Gakumina nyanga sinkumi bilabili mukaga! Yonebe Kolono airstrip! Hokinge mtwale bili! Yepe mitwale tano! Emeze ya mkande musatu! Walwoine yobu tano! King Saha beko woine! And Yuka TV, NBS TV, NBS Music, Yuka Tunes, Capital FM Uganda, the beat from This is not just a run. This is a movement with purpose. Join us on 30th August 2026 at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds for the Cancer Run 2026. Starting at 6 a.m. Also taking place simultaneously in other districts across Uganda for the completion of the One-Stop Cancer Center at Nsambia Hospital. Registration is only 30,000 Ugandan shillings online using Gonza Pay. Gates are available at all Centenary Bank branches, Capital Shoppers outlets, Bread House branches, the Cancer Run office on Zimwa Road, Muyenga, the Rotary Uganda office at Nick Building, and Rotary clubs across the country. The Rotary Cancer Run 2026 is organized in partnership with the Parliament of Uganda, Centenary Bank, Crystal Water, and Next Media Group.
Too many ads? Expensive subscription? You deserve better. An artist, thousands of plays, but nothing to show for it. This ends now. Introducing Yugatunes, the new home of your favorite music on Afro Mobile. Listeners, stream your favorite songs ad-free at no cost. Artists, earn from every stream. Withdraw your royalties anytime from as low as 20,000 Uganda shillings. This is music that pays off. This is music that belongs to you. Yugatunes, your sound, your stage, your reward.
When somebody understands the real outcome,
yes,
then that is the best time to entrust and give it to them.
So now, talking to you, I know in 2024, you won Most Supportive CEO, in other words.
Correct.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I was surprised.
Why?
Yeah, because I have a very difficult board. No, on the great side is, it's such a privilege to have a board the way we have. I mean, we have the ex-finance minister, Honorable Maria Chivanuka.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the intellect that she brings, the ambition she brings, the courage she brings, the positivity, the can-do attitude. the multidimensional understanding of not only the economy, but the world, but the banking sector. And she is very diverse in her thinking.
Yeah.
Then we have one of the biggest lawyers, we have one of the best accountants, we have Professor Dr. Dorothy, the Dean of Engineering School of Makerere University.
Yeah.
Think about this powerhouse you sit with. Is it not the biggest privilege?
Absolutely.
One of the things I must tell you is, in life, my parents taught me something, that in life, if you live with the philosophy of serving, any relationship you have,
Yeah.
and you are given the authority or the privilege to serve,
Yeah.
then you tend to become a winner. Because it means somebody has accepted that you serve. You know, when you talk to me as the best supporting CEO, it means my board has had confidence in me. And this confidence doesn't come from Sanjay. It comes from the 300 people that I'm very fortunate to lead. You know, so my best supporting CEO comes with 300 of us having the privilege to be recognized. It wasn't my award, it was our award. And that's how I see it. Yeah.
Wow, Sanjay.
Every evening at 9 p.m., NBS Live at 9 takes you inside the day's biggest developments, the decisions, the voices, the pressure points, and the people affected. Look out for the breaking updates, live field reports, exclusive interviews, expert.
NBS. Always.
The world is going digital and creativity is no longer just a passion, it's a pathway. Next Creator is building dignified job opportunities for young people by turning creativity into real careers. It's about more than just content. It's about learning digital skills that lead to sustainable income, branding yourself with confidence, understanding influence and the digital economy. Next Creator equips young creatives with the tools they need to grow, adapt and thrive in a fast-changing world. If you want to turn your ideas into opportunities, if you want to make creativity work for you, this is where you start. Next Creator, your skills, your future, your opportunity.
The 12th Venero anniversary, celebrating 12 years of God's goodness.
When we came to preach, we did not come to preach only to our community. No, we have to preach from the North Pole to the South, from the East to the West, wherever we have to go. But by the time we leave this world, they will say there was a generation that knew God.
Saturday, the 8th of August, 2026, at the Venero Grounds in Naguru. Venero.
Welcome back. You're still watching NBS's Morning Breeze, but this is a topical discussion. My name is Victoria Sabatsani. Now, I'm looking forward to having this particular conversation because it does involve you and me and our money, especially the economy. If you know that for many years, Uganda has spoken about becoming a middle-income country. But today, the ambition is even bigger, transforming Uganda into a $500 billion economy by 2040. It's a vision built on promises of stronger industries, more jobs, higher exports, greater investment, and even rising household incomes. But it also raises important questions. What will it take to grow an economy on that scale? Can Uganda sustain the level of growth required? And perhaps most importantly, when does economic growth begin to translate into something people can actually feel in their businesses? Something that you and I can feel perhaps in our salaries, or something we can feel at our kitchen tables where we all eat as a family. Now, this morning, we're going to be joined by the man leading the technical implementation of that particular strategy as Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury. Dr. Ramadan Gobi sits at the center of Uganda's fiscal and economic planning. Now, before we begin our conversation, we have to look at what this ambition really means and what is actually required to get there. I want us to have a look at a couple of our, graphics here so that you can have a clear picture as to exactly where we are, what we're looking at. Now, before we even get there, if you might already know, Uganda's economy is estimated to have grown by 6.4% in financial year 2025 to 2026. Now, if you look closely over there, we're looking at the current ambition, and Uganda's economy is currently valued at about 250 trillion shillings, or approximately $70 billion. Now, government's target is to grow that economy to about $100 billion, or rather $100 billion by the end of that decade, before reaching $500 billion by 2040. Those are the targets in the next couple of years. But how are we actually going to get there? The strategy resets on really expanding production, increasing the exports, adding value to Uganda's raw materials, and growing investment across key sectors, including agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, oil and gas, mining, and the digital economy. The road to 100 billion economy is looking at those particular places. We already know about the oil and gas and production tourism of what they call ATMs. I'm looking forward to knowing more about those. Now, moving on, government says that the economy has remained resilient. As I was saying earlier, that growing by about 6.4% in the last financial year, while inflation averaged about 3.3%, one of the lowest levels in the region. But translating strong macroeconomic performance into household prosperity remains one of the country's biggest challenges. But what must actually happen? We're looking at higher economic growth, more private investment, among other things over there. And while growth has really strengthened, many Ugandans continue to point to unemployment. We are looking at the high cost of doing business. We're also looking at limited access to affordable finance as daily realities. What could slow this particular journey are those very things: high youth unemployment, climate change, high cost of doing business. Those are some of the challenges that we could possibly face that will derail us from reaching that particular target. Now, the question now is whether Uganda can sustain the pace of growth needed to transform today's $70 billion economy into a $500 billion economy over the next 15 years. What does a 100 billion economy actually mean? We might be looking at more jobs, perhaps. We could be looking at higher household incomes. But that I'm going to leave for the PSST to actually answer if that is even possible at all in the next 15 years. So right now, help me to basically welcome, even though I've given you all the numbers, we have an expert in studio. Dr. Gobi, welcome.
Thank you.
It's very good to see you this morning, and looking forward to having this particular conversation, because I want to really pick your brain and go into the details of how we're actually going to reach this particular ambitious goal, if I should even say. But let's begin here. For many Ugandans, $500 billion or about 250 trillion Uganda shillings sounds like an enormous figure. What does $500 billion economy actually mean? And how do we even begin to pursue it?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Victoria, for having me this morning. This is one of the beautiful, I think, goals Uganda has ever pursued, because a big economy means a bigger pie for everybody to share. You know, usually all of us have the ambition to see that we get more money, we get more jobs, as you were saying, or create more jobs for the younger people, that we get a better life. But a good life to us economists starts with the pie. We call it GDP. So often non-economists ask, you economists, you've emphasized GDP, size of the economy. Are we going to eat GDP and so on and so forth? But you can't have those other things that we are looking for unless you get the GDP to grow. Because growth is the one which creates the income. For example, the reason why United States of America has the highest number of billionaires in dollars, it's because they also have a very large economy with these very many billions of dollars. It's almost a $30 trillion economy. Likewise, when you look at the European economies, many of them, like the United Kingdom, France, and so on, they have big economies. That's why they have people with big net worth. Africa, on the other hand, our economies are relatively small because we are late arrivals to the growth paradigm. And therefore, that's why you see poverty concentrating with us, lower household income, and so on. So this goal of growing the Ugandan economy to $500 billion economy by 2040, in our generation, you and I, when we are still alive, hopefully, is to ensure that we can also start to see many Ugandans getting out of the low income to relatively middle and higher income levels. And then we also have many businesses, because a big economy means that you have created many farms, which are creating many good jobs for the younger people. So it's about actually deriving those other objectives of Uganda through having a big economy.
Okay. But if I were to ask, as we start that particular journey, we've already gone out of the former financial year. Let me bring you back there. And we've just begun the new financial year. If you were to say, what were some of your greatest highlights about the previous financial year?
Yes. First of all, as you know, last financial year was a year in which we had the elections, general elections. Usually, when we have general elections in Uganda, the economy tends to get destabilized. We see high inflation, we see growth reducing, we see the shilling depreciating, and all other sorts of bad things. This year was a different one. We had an election year with stable inflation, an election year with one of the highest growth rates Uganda's had in the recent times, 6.4, as you said, percent. We had an election year, and the shilling was performing as one of the most stable currencies in Africa and beyond. We had an election year where we had also record export growth. We exported $18 billion, of which $2.4 billion was from coffee alone. This is a record. It has never happened in the history of Uganda. So this was a very good election year in terms of having the economy not destabilized. But it did not come by chance. It's because of the strategy which we had in place, including investment in some critical areas which would create a broad-based economic growth. And we also, I should tell you, maybe this could be news for some of you, I also had a very good performance in the Treasury. Because this was an election year where we closed the financial year without any bill unpaid. I managed to ensure with my team that all the invoices which were given to government
Do
were
we say
paid.
congratulations to that in
Absolutely,
this case?
if you wish. It is also a financial year where we were able to get all our creditors, including the central bank, cleared. And also an election year where actually we ended the year with some good change in the account of over 1 trillion shillings. So this points to good fiscal and monetary policy management. We, of course, credit our colleagues at the central bank who are working with us to ensure that the economy keeps stable, the macroeconomy, but also we create a good environment for business.
Absolutely. Could you actually be very honest about where we underperformed? Because I love to hear the progress that we've made. I'm glad to hear that we've got some change in the pocket as well. But where are the underperforming areas that you could point out to
Those
us?
who know me usually know that I don't like to concentrate my cognitive resources on challenges and risks and so on. But I could quickly recall that our revenue mobilization effort is not yet at the point where we would want to be. We still have actually our greatest risk in Uganda, achieving our tenfold growth is on domestic revenue mobilization. And it's one area also which last year we struggled, especially on the non-tax revenue. The institutions that targeted to collect a certain amount of money failed to get this revenue coming in, and that could have affected our ability even to finance more what we would have loved to finance. But also our tax base is still narrow. It is something which also affected us because you are going for the same people who are compliant, and most of our businesses are informal. They are very difficult to tax, and they contribute some little to our revenue base so that we can be able to finance our economy. The other one, I think, is in terms of how this growth, good growth, translates into jobs.
Yes.
It is something which is improving, but we are still off the optimal levels because when you look at our youth, especially those who are educated, parents have sent Ugandans to school. You find many IT young people who are IT savvy, young people who are even medical doctors, engineers, who are accountants, economists, name it, without a job. That is something which actually gives us sleepless nights, and that's why we are looking at how do we drive growth with jobs.
I guess the reason why I was asking that question in the first place was because I wanted to understand the lessons that will perhaps even shape the priorities of this financial year, the changes that will be made so that those things are achieved, those targets are achieved, and even before we get to the youth unemployment, which we'll get to eventually.
We are having a good reform agenda. You know, Ugandan economy, we are always reforming what we could do better. The first is actually how do we mobilize revenue? That's the reform we are bringing with our domestic revenue mobilization strategy number 2. We are looking at more of expansion of our tax base, but also enforcement of the tax policy on those who have already been identified in terms of the tax administration. How do we support URA to digitize? We don't want our tax officers to be the ones to determine how somebody should pay and how much. It should be rules-based. Discretion breeds corruption, and we would want to get more of the IT to drive our tax administration agenda, because we want the rules to apply to all of us equally. But you will find that through discretion, somebody may get to business A and charge them a different rate
Get to see
from business B, because maybe A has bribed them. And that's what we want to get out and ensure that the human component is less and less and less in determining how tax is collected. We also want to look at how do we improve on our implementation of government programs. It is something which we are still having some challenge. Uganda is no longer a country which is short of resources, short of money. We have the money to drive our agenda. We have the money to invest in infrastructure. We have the money to invest in programs which can help businesses to reduce the cost and so on and so forth. But our implementation is weak. We take long to appraise and approve. That's something we must change, and we are working on in terms of public investment management system. We also have the issues of outright, I think, incompetence in certain areas, especially in our subnational governments, which you call local governments. There are challenges of getting simple things done, you know, like paying someone their wage.
Is it a lack of knowledge, or is it just
outright incompetence sometimes, and people being irresponsible? You're a public officer, you have been given an opportunity to serve. And imagine you have gotten money from government, from the Ministry of Finance, into your account, and your job is to get all of the people ticked, and you pay them on the date before 28th. But you can't pay them on time. What about the service providers? You have gotten services of people, they have supplied you, you have the resources, they have given you the money, and you divert it into other things. You are organizing workshops, you are traveling, you are paying allowances to yourselves, and you leave out the service provider. Those kind of things are the ones we want to stamp out in our reform of implementing.
That sounds like a tough job, though, isn't it? Because it's a behavioral change issue, but
absolutely,
also
but,
character.
You see, in economics, we believe man responds to two things: incentive or danger. It is either the carrot or the stick. I think in Uganda we have a lot of carrots and very less of the sticks. We want to balance those two. Likewise, we would want to reform our procurement, which I've emphasized again and again, and very soon we shall be embarking on that journey. We are going to cabinet to discuss how do we change the procurement system so that public officers can find it easier. In this way, actually, the culprit is government. We made a bad law to buy things, simple things, like that chair. You have to...
Pens.
Oh, my God. It's quite difficult in government. And that's what breeds corruption and all those other things we are talking about.
Because
the
people
slow
find
implementation. Yes.
Okay.
Because the law is made in such a way that it gives the procurement people, or the people involved in the procurement, a lot of power and discretion and ability to delay taking decisions so that they can invite the other party to really bribe them or negotiate with them. Those are the things we would want to go on removing. Even unnecessary people who are in the system and they are not adding value, they are adding cost. We need also to remove them. It's a reform which we are going to work on, and then the fight which you see against corruption generally.
Yes, and that's the major thing that we are seeing, especially this year where we're seeing a real crackdown, or rather, let me say, a more visible crackdown towards corruption. But let me take you back then to the growth of the economy itself, as we said, 6.4%, and inflation averaging about 3.3%. And you mentioned stronger exports. You also mentioned that just the continued macroeconomic stability altogether. But how healthy is Uganda's economy actually?
The economy is very healthy. The fundamentals are good. You know, for us, we look at the economic fundamentals. Mainly, is the economy growing? Because that's key. The economic activities should be expanding. Both the longer-term indicators of GDP growth, but also what we call the other high-frequency indicators, like the Business Tendency Index and so on and so forth, they are all indicating that the business executives are confident that the economy is going to grow even much further. Remember, this year we are targeting double-digit growth.
Yes.
10.2. We have put our neck out there to say we can push ourselves and grow at this pace. And we're on track, I should tell you. Secondly, when you look at inflation, it's stable, relatively stable. Last month, it picked up a bit to about 3.7%, but as long as we are below 5%, we are good. When you look at FX, the foreign exchange rate is stable. Actually, the shilling appreciated last month. We don't want it to appreciate. We don't want it to depreciate. We want it stable.
It's pretty stable.
Sometimes some people who are non-economists or who are not very reasonable, they tend to think that Ugandan shilling would be stronger if, for example, a dollar was buying 1,000 shillings or 100 shillings. And I think you are in that pocket. Of course, that would be good only if it is driven by the market. What the exchange rate signals that $1 is purchasing 3,700 shillings, it signals that we are still selling things which many others can produce, can replace. For us to have a dollar purchasing 100 shillings, we must add value to our exports, such that we are selling tradable but also sophisticated, more complex exports. If, for example, we were selling electronics, we were selling IT, we were selling even coffee, which is value added, and not coffee beans in a sack.
Yes.
And we are selling, instead of tea in the sack where we take it to Mombasa, we make premier tea. These teas which you take, chamomile tea, you make green tea, you can make all of these premier tea which we buy. We would be having a shilling which is more stronger, which purchases, a dollar which purchases less of the units of our currency. But for now, because we are selling mainly raw materials, which they can easily substitute, it's not good for you to have your $1 purchasing a few units. Why? Because it will make your exports expensive. And the buyer will look elsewhere. You are not the only producer of coffee. There are so many producers of coffee.
I mean, we've heard you drum this particular message, especially when it comes to value addition. I know that, subsistence living is not what we want people to be in. We also want that commercial production to be on a higher level. But be honest with us in that are we actually getting there eventually? Because we are seeing more businesses getting into better packaging, more value addition into their products. But even when they go out there, are they actually reaching even that standard that we need?
We are improving. We are improving a great deal. I want to tell you, if you look at, for example, what has happened to coffee in this past couple of years, so many farms, smaller farms have come up, SMEs. I was at the World of Coffee in Brussels the other day, and I saw an amazing story there of Ugandans, coffee brands I've never seen, because I'm so busy, home office, and you purchase one brand of coffee and you think a lot of our coffee maybe is going unprocessed. Ugandans have come up, have stood up, and they are ready to take advantage. So many SMEs, and these are the ones who want to de-risk. De-risk by reducing the cost of doing business, by ensuring that we put in place infrastructure, by ensuring that we reduce the cost of electricity and make electricity more reliable. These days you see we are investing heavily in getting distribution sorted to bridge that gap which was left by Umeme's exit, because by the time Umeme exited, the entire infrastructure was almost rotten.
Yes.
So we are trying to revamp. That's why you see a lot of power blackouts now, because we are trying to replace the equipment, transformers, some cables, and so on, so that these small businesses like a coffee small farm can be able to take advantage of the lower cost of electricity to roast more coffee. There are so many roasteries now which are coming up. I was this weekend somewhere and they told me, we are roasting our coffee in Makerere. We are roasting our coffee in Bugolobi. We are roasting our coffee here. So many roasteries have come up, and that's good for Uganda, because in the past there were just a couple or one roastery.
So how do you think that we will do that for other products, for instance? I think that when it comes to coffee, there was an intentional move there to make sure that we export it in a way that is up to scratch and up to standard.
Absolutely, that's what we are trying to do in every value chain. You know, value addition now is a fundamental objective of government. And in our tenfold growth strategy, we are saying in our ATMs, we must invest in adding value to agriculture, to tourism, to manufacturing, especially our minerals, and then to scientists, innovation.
Yes.
We are very deliberate as government and intentional, and we are investing our resources in those key binding constraints so that the entire ecosystem can be improved. We are not just targeting one item, but of course there are those which are high multiplier items, like coffee, like minerals. We have also fruits and vegetables. We are targeting them. We have beef and dairy. We are targeting them. What we call high value exports of Uganda. We want people to actually look that way. That's why usually we say, Ugandans, if you want to do business, follow government policy, follow government signals. If government is putting more emphasis in a certain direction, de-risking it, why do you concentrate on the other side? Like there are still people who are growing tobacco, who are growing cotton.
Let's help our viewers in that case then. Where is the government focusing right now?
Government is focusing on high value agricultural items. There are 7 of them. The first is coffee. We want to get coffee to 20 million bags and also add value to that to get about $20 billion from agriculture by 2040. We are also targeting dairy. If you are into milk production, you are in a good job. We are targeting beef as well. We are targeting fruits and vegetables. All fruits, citrus, mangoes, and so on and so forth. You are a farmer of those, you are in a good job. We are targeting also in agriculture, we want to do cocoa. Yeah, those parts of Bundi. We want to produce our own chocolates. Yeah, and we are actually in the process of investing in a good factory there. We are also targeting bananas for food, because they are sometimes we call them plantain.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So we are targeting them. Therefore, those items which the president is always very, very clear on them.
About them.
Please go for those. Don't waste your land on. Then we are targeting also for large scale and medium scale farmers the cereals, especially for animal feed production and for food security. Cereals, maize, we want also soybean, we want a lot of wheat and so on. If you can do them, well and good.
I mean, those are very clear. I guess let's get to the kitchen here and really talk about, you know, a lot of Ugandans are still struggling at household level. We are aware of that in many different ways. Businesses still speak about that, the expensive credit or even just the expense of doing business. Young people are struggling to find jobs. Also, households are continuing to be under financial pressure. Why is there still such a I guess a disconnect between the macroeconomic story and the people's lives or the lived experience of people? Why is there such a huge gap that people don't really honestly get to see the results of this stable, great economy that has a high trajectory of 500 billion US dollars?
That is a question which I usually face.
Yes.
And the answer is simple. Economy is like insurance. When you haven't gotten a challenge, you think actually insurance is not important. You start to say, why do I pay money for insurance? Why do I pay money for
There's somebody asking that question right now.
Until now you crash and you realize, oh, this is what insurance does. So these macro numbers we read out, inflation low, the GDP is growing, the shilling is stable, the interest rates are reducing and they are stable. We tend to take them for granted when they are still good. But when they go bad, that's when we realize that actually they were impacting us positively. Because remember, a few years ago, not many years ago, when I was appointed Secretary to Treasury during lockdown and the economy had gone south, GDP was 3%, inflation was almost double digits, and you remember commodity prices were high. People couldn't access basic goods like cooking oil, like soap, and so on. And the conversation in Uganda was different. We worked so hard to get back to where we are now. And somebody saying, by the way, you are saying these numbers, but we don't feel them. I don't see them in my wallet. Actually, you are feeling them. It's just that you take them for granted. It's like when you are healthy and you think that, you know.
No, but make a clear example. How do we actually genuinely feel it if my salary hasn't changed, for instance?
You feel it this way. Yeah, you feel it this way. NBS has not changed your salary, but your salary can purchase a certain basket of goods. If we left the inflation to double, just to 7%, now your salary will be cut by half. You'll be getting the same amount of money, the nominal value,
and less,
but less basket of goods. And there you will now start to, oh, inflation means something. But now you take it for granted. It's like peace. How you can say, are we going to eat peace? Why are you talking about peace all the time?
Are we going to eat safety?
Until you go to another place, perhaps, or one bullet goes off as you are discussing, and you scamper and you realize how peace is important. So I want to say this. Ugandan economy is actually translating into the things which matter to the people. It is translating into incomes. It is translating into jobs. It is translating into well-being. And we tend not to see these when everything is good. But when it goes the other way around, that's when you realize that, oh, the thing meant something.
All right. So when we come back, I'm looking forward to hearing as to exactly how are we going to get to that 500 billion. And maybe let me not even go that far. Let's start with just 100 billion US dollars, which is just here in 2029. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Awesome.
The problem is the foundation. Do you know the kind of cement I'm using in this foundation? I guarantee you even my grandchildren will come and find this house.
You buy your buy today and get the job done. Strong, reliable, available at hardware shops countrywide.
The National Mosquito Net Distribution Campaign is back. No one should die of malaria in this era. It is your responsibility to chase malaria from your home. The good news is that the government of Uganda has once again started distribution of mosquito nets under the 5th Universal Coverage Campaign, also known as the Under the Net campaign. Under this exercise, 1 mosquito net will be distributed per 2 people in every household. A village health team member, a community health extension worker, also known as a CHU, and the LC1 chairperson will move house to house to register members of the household in preparation for receiving their mosquito nets. Do not lie back. Ensure that you register all your household members to receive a mosquito net. On the distribution date, move to your distribution point and receive your net. Mosquito nets protect you and your family members from infectious mosquito bites that lead to malaria. Ensure that you receive the net, hang the net, and sleep under the net every night.
Are you planning an event? Think of X Events. For the best photography and videography of all kinds, we believe that every moment is worth capturing. Whether Kwanjula, weddings, Kuhinjira, bringing out the culture and glamour. And of course, a professional team that has mastered the art of the game and pro-gear with elegance. X Events is located along Rubaga Road on Access Building opposite Hotel Sojavalo. X Events, capturing your precious moments.
Why pay for someone else's repairs? Say goodbye to hidden costs and hello to peace of mind of a brand new start. Discover the Suzuki range of unmatched, fuel-efficient and reliable options. From the iconic Jimny to the new Across Hybrid. Find the perfect blend of style and world-class efficiency. Upgrade today and enjoy 1 year of free fuel and comprehensive insurance, plus 2 years of free service and a 3-year warranty. Trade in your current car or choose financing to start driving as you pay installments. Don't wait. Visit the Suzuki showroom today or call 0800-211-033 to get started.
Uganda's real estate sector is at a turning point. New regulations, shifting investor expectations, growing compliance demands. Are you ready? Join Uganda's top legal professionals, property developers, and institutional investors at the Law and Real Estate Conference 2026, convened by Baylor Global Real Estate in partnership with the Uganda Law Society and Area Uganda. And for the legal professionals, 10 continuing legal education points. 3rd and 4th of August at Misteel Hotel, Kampala. Register now. Visit BaylorGlobal.com. For booking and inquiries, contact +256 772 835 330 or +256 700 370 418.
Welcome back. I'm Victoria Sabatani, and we are on our topical discussion discussing the $500 billion economy by 2040, that is. But of course, we have $100 billion target by 2029. But right now, we're currently sitting at $70 billion, that is, and we're joined by the PSST Ramadan Gobi. Thank you again for joining us. A very insightful conversation. But then I have to ask some key questions, especially when we're looking at the financial year this year, and we're looking at the budget, and also looking at the journey to $500 billion. How will that support? How will this financial year's budget support our journey toward $500 billion?
We've actually repurposed our budget fully to concentrate on the journey to the $500 billion economy. Our ATMs, what we call the ATMs, agriculture, tourism, mineral development, and science, technology, and innovation, including IT, but also including the creative industry, our younger people who are in the creatives. They are now the cornerstone of our budgeting policy, our budgeting strategy. we have invested there, plus what we call the enablers of those ATMs, things like infrastructure, electricity, roads, the standard gauge railway, get the irrigation, the industrial park infrastructure, get things like revenue mobilization, the parish development model, and the UDB. Altogether, those things I'm mentioning, they are actually taking over 90% of the money available for spending, which we call a discretionary budget. And anyone who took trouble to listen to my minister when he was presenting this budget realized that he spent a great deal of the time talking about the things which are going to drive the ATM growth. Those ATMs driving the growth, and the money is going in there. This was a year of budgeting records. Agriculture getting the highest amount of money they have ever got, about 2.4 trillion shillings in now agro-industrialization. Tourism getting the recording numbers of money they have ever got, including promoting Uganda, selling Uganda out there. Uganda Tourism Board, we gave them the money. But also developing our infrastructure, highway, stopovers, and so on. All these processes are ongoing, the procurement processes, to ensure that we get these.
Allow me to shift you a little bit and bring you back to the oil part of it. I need you to quickly share how oil contributes as well, because that's a big discussion right now, and us getting to our first oil and eventually getting to that commercial space. How important is oil to Uganda's ambition?
It's important as a catalyst, but it's not the main thing.
It's not the main thing.
The main thing is ATMs, actually. Oil is in there, but as a catalyst, it's going to be able to drive our growth in, especially building infrastructure, because most of the oil money is going to be invested in infrastructure. Oil is going to bring, on average, about $8 to $12 billion at the peak. And that one cannot contribute to the 500 billion. Okay, cannot so be, in other words, synonymous. It's just a small portion. Okay. It's about actually 10 to 15% of what we want to do.
But it's also a very big investment coming from government in that space.
Oh, yeah.
There are some questions that I believe private companies are asking in terms of the criteria that the government uses in terms of investing in a private company. What is that criteria? Is there specific criteria, or is it based mainly on the priorities of government at the time?
We have of course, priorities, as you've put it.
Yes.
And for example, in oil and gas is a top priority of ours, because we want to get this oil out of the ground and get some of these dollars and invest them in bridging our infrastructure gap. We stop borrowing this money and we use our own revenue so that we can build more roads, we get this railway done, we get the airports, we get the water systems work, and reduce the cost of transport. Now, in that, we have our Uganda National Oil Company. That's the only company we are investing in. The others, Total, Sinok, they are bringing their own investment. Our job is to de-risk them. So we have been, for example, investing in the pipeline with them, co-investing with them, so that we can de-risk the pipeline and we get this pipeline connected to Tanga, and we pump oil out of the ground. These other, I don't know whether your question also lands into the other private investments, which, I mean, companies which we invest in.
Invested, yes.
Yeah. The criteria is clear. They are in the strategic area, and they are big movers of that area, and we don't want them to get under.
Does it include the pharmaceuticals?
Yes. Like the pharmaceuticals want to ensure that we can develop our own drugs and vaccines and other supplies for our medical sector. So we have had a number of younger people coming up Of course, the prominent one is Day Biopharma, which I think is on everybody's lips because of the amount of money government has invested in there. But I don't know whether people actually interact with some of these and they see what's going on.
Yes.
For example, you went to Day Biopharma and you see the strategy and the certain things which they are doing on the ground. It's amazing.
Yes.
Of course, there could be a few things which are a challenge, but that's
yes, because that's one of the main questions is the follow-up when it comes to investments like that, especially by the pharma on an investment on private sectors like that. How do you keep them accountable? How do you check up on them? How do you actually care to follow up as much as possible with a big investment?
We have put a mechanism in place. Of course, it was a little bit late, but we have a mechanism in place. We have a panel and now an STI, an independent science, technology, innovation panel of experts who help us to appraise, because for us in the government, we are not experts of everything. Somebody will be in biotechnology, another one has brought medical science, another one has brought engineering, another one is into adding value to our products. So we have this panel, which is quite diverse in a skill set, that is now helping in appraising these investments and informing government. They say yes or no to us, and it helps us. Then we have our own government system, which always checks on wherever government money is invested. The Auditor General of Government has to audit all of these firms and give us feedback on how they are doing. They are using our resources. If they are not putting it to good use, we take decisions as government.
I guess that was my next question in terms of what are some of those consequences when you find irregularities in companies like that?
We have sunset clauses in our agreements. If you don't do certain things, we can scale down. We can also ask you to pay back a certain amount of money and so on and so forth. They are within our legal regulatory frameworks, and they are included in some of these agreements we sign with them.
Absolutely. Now let's look forward a bit. Again, if we come back here and have this particular conversation in 2040, what would have been true, you would say, about the $500 billion vision? Was it genuinely successful or not? Maybe it was just on paper. Have lives been changed? By 2040, do you think we'll be having this conversation in a different way?
Actually, when you check now, from where we started, when we were penning our $500 billion strategy, Ugandan economy was $53 billion. Within less than 4 years, we have been able to move the economy to $70 billion. Now, if you check at 70 billion, our target is 500 billion by 2040. It's actually, we just need to now grow the economy 7 times. We are almost moving.
Quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. But you have moved from 10-fold now to 7-fold, which shows you that you are on a good trajectory.
Absolutely.
And I'm really quite happy that we are making good progress. The first major achievement we got, Victoria, was the consensus in Uganda.
Yes.
For the first time, we are having the government wholly committed to this. We are having the private sector aligned fully with this. We are having the financial sector aligned. We are having development partners aligned. We are having literally everybody aligned. And that consensus, policy consensus, is the first major step in getting things done. It's where we have been failing a lot in the past. Why you see those countries which managed to do what we are trying to do, East Asia and so on, they had first policy consensus, ensuring that everybody is aligned. We have achieved that. Secondly, we are also now very deliberate as government. I'm really pretty happy that the entire government, in terms of planning, when you look at our National Development Plan 4, it is tenfold growth.
You sound very confident about...
yeah.
Where we are going.
Please don't die. Let us stay alive, and by 2040, we should be having a rich economy. Are you not tired of living in a poor country?
But of course. I think, but I have to ask this question even before.
We have to be the ones to work on it and ensure that we believe in ourselves to doing it, and we go ahead and do the things which we are supposed to do. It can't be only Yoweri Museveni, His Excellency, or a Minister of Finance,
or even you,
or a Ramadan Gobi.
Yes,
okay,
please. But
every single Ugandan, wherever we are the ones who are going to do what it takes to get this economy to the level where we want it to be.
One of the things that stress many regular people, such as myself or other people, would be debt. And government maintains that Uganda's public debt remains very stable. What gives you that confidence?
It's actually sustainable. That's the word.
Okay.
And we are not the ones saying. You can also check with our multilateral partners, our the kind of prefects who keep us aligned with the debt sustainability, the World Bank, the IMF, and then all of these other institutions that track all countries, not only Uganda. We are not the only country in the world. We are so many countries that are being tracked. And Uganda is compared with those other countries, and our debt, when you go to check, is sustainable. Well, debt service cost has increased, but we can manage it.
Yes.
What we need to do about three things. Number one, grow revenue. Our revenue mobilization effort must improve. That is a weakness we must address. Ugandans must pay tax, and tax should be put on good use to generate more growth. The debt is not a problem. Two, the economy must grow. So we must invest the debt in areas where it's going to generate growth so that it can generate income for people, and people can be able to pay tax, and then government can pay the debt, repay the debt. Then number three, we should also ensure that we manage our debt well in terms of how do we borrow. We avoid commercial short-term debt to finance longer-term investments, which are going to bring returns in a very long time. Like, for example, you borrow from a commercial bank to build a classroom. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work
very well, because it will take time for those children to grow, and then they become productive and make money, and then they give it to you to pay back at the bank. It doesn't work. But if you are to invest in a classroom, get longer-term debt. Go to World Bank, get a debt of 50-year grace period, tenor, with a grace period of 10, 15 years, invest it in a classroom. You will be able to pay that debt back. And that's exactly what we are doing in Uganda. That's why we are remaining sustainable.
I'm pretty sure that we can have this conversation on and on, because there's so many areas that we could go into. And I'm pretty sure even our viewers watching have their own questions about how can they get out of where they are so that they can get to be very positive contributors to the economy, if I were to say. Dr. Ramadan Gobi, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and for all the insights that you've shared. Of course, we've had the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury joining us today, discussing just about $500 billion economy by 2040. We still have a long way to go. He is pretty confident, and I'm assuming, taking from his confidence, you and I could possibly also be confident that we are eventually going to get to where we need to get. My name is Victoria Sabatsane. Thank you so much for joining us. Still coming your way, we've got the breakfast meeting.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Omuli don't go to mole, momotima, kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, elendongo, yakusabula. We gonna do free on fire, free on fire, free on fire.
Simba ya King Saha! King Saha was a king in Saha. Katana Lumis a Colonel. Mutonda Colonel Festival. Gakumina Anga Sinkum Bilabid Mukaga. You name it Colonel Airstrip. Poking him to Alabidi. He baby to Aletano. He made them Kandam Santu. What would I Yobutano? King Saha Ko. NBS TV, NBS TV, NBS Music, you get tunes, Capital FM Uganda, the beat from
You wanna make tasty food and say you want to do that doesn't steal Can't one no yan night Sika de buto one night Nailo akro ya sika Sika de buto one night Can't no yan night.
Cook better, sell better with Nile Healthy Cholesterol-Free Cooking Oil and non-sticky wheat flour. Nile, yenyabo.
August 2026 is here! And Yada for Life presents Mujatu Sinze 2026 Nsima Edition on Saturday 29th August 2026 at Imperial Royal Hotel with a lineup of heavenly voices and ministers. Are you grateful to God for what He has done and accomplished in your life? Do you have a reason to ultimately thank God for? Get your deluxe ticket for 30K, gold for 50K, platinum for 100K, and the table at 2 million. Doors open at 4 p.m. Buy your ticket at Unique Uniforms Uganda House and at House of Rest, former Dodido. For bookings and reservations, call 0760-595-316 or 0708-766-536. Mujatu Sinze 2026 Nsima Edition and proudly sponsored by Yuga Tunes, Afro Mobile, and Yuka TV and NBS Music.
We understand that everyone yearns for a clean, tidy, and convenient working environment. That's why 7-Star Cleaning Services, we strive to provide highly customizable cleaning solutions using environmentally friendly chemicals, state-of-the-art equipment, and well-trained workforce for our clients. Visit our head office, Plot 4691, Ntinda Chisasi Road. Contact us on our official lines 0393-243-503 or visit our social media platforms. 7-Star Cleaning Services, a remarkable difference.
Too many ads? Expensive subscription? You deserve better. And artists, thousands of plays, but nothing to show for it. This ends now. Introducing Yugatunes, the new home of your favorite music on Afro Mobile. Listeners, stream your favorite songs ad-free at no cost. Artists, earn from every stream. Withdraw your royalties anytime from as low as 20,000 Uganda shillings. This is music that pays off. This is music that belongs to you. Yugatunes, your sound, your stage, your reward.
This year's maiden grand gospel show is the Mascot Live in Very Well concert. On the 14th of August 2026, it's going to be the Mascot Live, pounding us with this great gospel music at the Ndele Cultural Center. Entrance is 20K and 50K VIP. A table goes for 2 million. Get your ticket today from carrytickets.com. For more information, call 0702-832-568. Sponsored by NBS Music, Sanyuka Afro Mobile, Jeff Godwin, Newman Foods, QC Restaurant, Pal Automotives, Crown Japan Katwe, and Stream Road Safaris.
NBS. Always.
Omweshongozi wawe ririye nabasoma kweshongori enda yawe nowatine ruhanga yakukunda nakukunda isyataya ekitagurira ekituletera Kampala omuli Serena Hotel ebiro 2018 n'umwaka kutandika na shamwenda emiryango neza kuba twatandikira kushemererwa jishuka mushigatirwa beshongozi ba gospel bakunda abaratere nanga tukashashanuka ukutaha muri mitwaro 5 VIP mitwaro 20 debos a miliyoni 3 hamwe na taneza bamazireyo kumanya bukukiraho tera 0 50 50 nkaga ninda bishagikirwe.
Billions are invested, promises are made, projects are launched. But what happens after the ribbon is cut? Are public fans delivering results? Are communities seeing the impact? Every Sunday, NBS Television follows the money, audits the promises, and examines the projects shaping Uganda. With facts, evidence, and voices from the ground. Fixing Uganda, auditing progress, demanding accountability. Every Sunday, only on NBS Television.
The world is going digital and creativity is no longer just a passion, it's a pathway. Next Creator is building dignified job opportunities for young people by turning creativity into real careers. It's about more than just content. It's about learning digital skills that lead to sustainable income, branding yourself with confidence, understanding influence and the digital economy. Next Creator equips young creatives with the tools they need to grow, adapt, and thrive in a fast-changing world. If you want to turn your ideas into opportunities, if you want to make creativity work for you, this is where you start. Next Creator, your skills, your future, your opportunity.
On Saturday, August 15, 2026, Radio Wala invites you to celebrate India's Independence Day with a monumental mental broadcast you cannot afford to miss. The Saturday Wala Show proudly welcomes a truly distinguished guest, His Excellency Upender Singh Rawat, the High Commissioner of India to Uganda. Join the phenomenal hosting crew, RJ Raj, RJ Amitesh, Mr. Paresh Mehta and RJ Tarun for an exclusive deep dive conversation on India's incredible journey of independence and the flourishing diplomatic, cultural and economic ties between India and Uganda. Tune in live on Saturday, August 15th, 2026, starting 10 a.m. on Radio Wala and watch it on NBS Live, exclusively on Afro Mobile app to be a part of this conversation. Don't just hear about history, be a part of it.
Good morning and a warm welcome to NBS Breakfast Meeting. My name is Tracy Ekopit and it is my pleasure to be hosting you this fine Thursday morning. Now today, July 30th, Uganda joins the rest of the world in marking World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. Now in Uganda, the national event for commemorating this day are taking place at the headquarters of UCC in Bugolobi. Allow me welcome our esteemed panel this morning as we dive into the conversation about trafficking in persons. It is so great to have you all here this morning. Absolutely. We can start with introducing yourselves. We can start with you, ma'am.
My name is Annette Chidavida, and I'm the Executive Director of Rahab Uganda. But today I'm here to represent the entire coalition against trafficking in persons. And this is a network of NGOs doing counter-trafficking work. Glad to be here.
Amazing. Great to have you. Sir?
Thank you, Tracy. My name is Lasadio Achideni Derek, and I'm the Deputy National Coordinator, Counter-Trafficking in Persons. Our department is premised at the Ministry of Internal Affairs, where we do ultimately core role of coordinating all MDAs with civil society organizations and international partners within the country in respect to combating trafficking in persons. Thank you.
Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, viewers. My name is Sarah Kahl. I'm the Head of Program and Policy Development for IOM, the International Organization for Migration. So we are the arm of the United Nations who deals with the migration issues, including like the regular pathways, but also the irregular pathways, unfortunately, that then often lead to heinous crimes such as trafficking in person that we will be talking about today.
Amazing. It's great to have you all this morning. Now, before we dive into the conversation, perhaps we can start with some basic definitions. I think I'll start with you, Sarah, from the UN's perspective. How do you describe trafficking?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tracy. So trafficking basically is like when a person is deceived by like wrong promises to get into another area as where they are located, normally across borders, which makes them very vulnerable, and then they're exploited either for labor or for sexual areas, or even like for organ trafficking. That is one of the areas that we have seen. So often these victims are being told like they have a beautiful job somewhere waiting for them. Then they go with these traffickers in a highly organized way. So trafficking is one of the most organized crimes and is the most lucrative organized crime that we have in the world. So it's $1 billion business, basically, where the human becomes the mean. It becomes not a human being anymore. It's an object to be used in order to make money. And because it often goes over the border and then the victim doesn't speak the language, they become very vulnerable. Their passport has been taken. They have no ability to go back. So that is really the work of like the crime of trafficking in person per se.
Absolutely, absolutely. Derek, I'd like to move on to you. Perhaps you can, yes.
To give it an implementation angle to it, trafficking in persons can also involve the actions, the means, and the purpose. Ultimately, the purpose is to exploit the individual. And us as law implementers, together with other stakeholders, when we are in the process of combating trafficking in persons, this is what we mainly utilize in prosecution especially, and investigations, because we need to attract the actions, the means, and the purpose. But an exception is for the children. Involving the children, we do not need the means. It's absolutely excluded. As long as we have the piece of the action and your intention to exploit this child, then we refer to that as aggravated trafficking in persons. And in our Act, CAP 131, it is punishable by death. Yes.
Absolutely. So what kind of trafficking are you seeing the most in Uganda?
In Uganda? I'll speak into the current trend. The current trend that is attracted to the digital space. Currently, technology has advanced every kind of process, every kind of piece of the economy. Online trafficking is what is happening today. And it is not left alone to that, but the element of forced criminality. In fact, today, globally, forced criminality is the third kind of crime that you can talk of, maybe next to drug trafficking and arms dealing. Forced criminality into the digital space. Whereas we initially thought of trafficking in persons with a limitation of movement and relocation or border limitations, now with the digital space, there is no limitation to that. You can't even view it. It's invisible. That means it's borderless, it is limitless, it knows no law, no jurisdiction. So it's upon us as governments and partners to really address this digital space and the element it has brought to us. Quite a number of things happen in there, in the digital space. For instance, there's a lot of grooming. In the process of recruitment, persons are groomed into this because the traffickers now have access to a lot of your information using AI. They can access all your information. Now, they will have the opportunity to create a relationship with you. They will groom you according to the analysis of your need. Remember, quite often we post things that we like or we are interested in. We are busy showcasing where we've been to school, what profession you are, the family life. All this is information out there for the trafficker. And once they get this information, they have the opportunity to design. They create something. They can create a company that fits into your need if you're looking for a job. They can create a need angle that you're looking for. You want to leave the country, for instance, and go and work or go for a scholarship. They will meet that need online. Now, unfortunately, as we scroll through, we are not in position to verify a lot of this information, especially with the kind of speed that the technology has today. You have your need, you need to meet it so fast, but then the technology is not giving you room to even think about verification of this information. And yet we have authorities, we have government agencies, we have partners that can help verification of this information. So this is how the interplay has changed. We should no longer think about trafficking in persons in respect to relocation, but now in respect to invisibility. It has multifaceted.
Okay.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you so much. It's very enlightening. Annette, I'd like to come to you. Perhaps you can tell us, what is it that maybe the traffickers mark people on? Let's say away from the digital space, what is it that they see in people that makes you look like a mark, if you will?
Okay. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add something small to what Derek and Sarah said, without us forgetting about the domestic situation. Because for most countries, 70% of the trafficking happens back home, domestically. Because cross-border is really highlighted because it's alarming, but that happens there. I also wanted just to add something small on what Derek said, the layers, especially what we are talking about today, forced criminality in terms of trapped behind the scam. At first we were seeing, when we started responding to the scamming and everyone trafficked for scamming, it was about, they take them and they teach them how to scam online. But again, in typical style how trafficking happens, now we see layers of exploitation. Before we knew about labor trafficking, we knew about sex trafficking. Now the scamming also has another layer of sex trafficking. So you're not only trapped in the compound scamming people online, but also now there's sexual exploitation on top of what else is happening in the scamming place. So going back to how you're trapped, one of the things is the trafficker will meet you at your point of desperation. It doesn't matter. If you're sophisticated, they'll come to you sophisticated. If you're basic and simple, they'll come to you simple. What do I mean? We, as Derek already pointed out, sometimes we expose ourselves and they will follow whatever trend you're showing them. Even in the community, maybe you're a family and your children are desperate for education. We've seen some of the push factors come from broken social systems, broken families, and somebody just comes and says, I'll take your child and get them education. That in itself has already exposed you. Poverty, a lack of opportunity. Poverty is not even about just lack of money. If there's little opportunity, somebody will easily come and tell you, maybe there's an opportunity here. So what the trafficker does, they exploit your vulnerability. Whatever the vulnerability is, even at your highest level. When we talk about scamming today, we are seeing graduates trafficked. Why would a graduate be trafficked? Their level of desperation is a job, perhaps. Or they are already in a job. Many years ago, somebody was trafficked who had a master's degree. Why? Just in his space, he wanted a better opportunity. So a trafficker will sell you a dream based on what your desperation is and your vulnerability is. We see abuse of power. Somebody could even deceive you, Tracy, and say, you're good in media. And there's a bit of power over here, and they say there will be this opportunity with the BBC. And there you go, and you seek it. So they will trap you at, if it's at the lowest level, the grassroots, the brokenness in protective systems, the brokenness in poverty and lack, they will exploit that. If you're educated, they'll exploit the fact that you're looking for better or you're looking for a job where we don't have. If you are sophisticated, again, it could be intimate partner. It could be intimate partner. I'm going to take you. We'll do this, we'll do the other. And you can still be exploited at that level. So desperation, vulnerability, and the major thing, as Derek said, is exploitation. So what is it they're exploiting? When we talk about online scamming, what information do you have there? What can I use to exploit you? Lonely online, exposing all your vulnerabilities, crying out, I can come, and you don't know who is talking to you online. It could be a 50-year-old. It could be a 10-year-old. So that anonymity also complicates things. So we have the push factors, but we also have the pull factors. The need for cheap labor. I usually say when we exploit children, what do we mean? Why would we take an 8-year-old into employment? Innately, we are exploiting them because they are younger, their position of vulnerability, our power over them. But going back to this whole thing of trapped behind the scam, we now see two kinds of victims. Not only the victims taken to scam, but also the people scammed. Why would somebody be scammed? I was listening to a statistic that Meta had out there, and they said that out of 100 people they warn, they flag and say you're being scammed, only 30 skip the scam. So the percentage is 30%. Because the person grooms you and lures you and sometimes starts as a boyfriend. Of the ones they warn, not even the ones they don't warn. Out of 100 people they warn that I can see on your platforms or on your internet banking, somebody is soliciting you, only 30 escape the scamming. That means what's happening, what is the vulnerability of the 70 out of the 100. And so even that one, somebody scams you $30,000, $100,000, $50,000. What is that vulnerability? Was it loneliness? Was it a desire to invest? What was that? And that's where we should be having the conversation.
That's so interesting. And something I pick up from what you and Derek both said is how it takes time. They don't just come out and do it. I mean, there can be cases where they just do it impulsively. But it takes time. They get to know you, and it's some sort of psychological warfare, if you will. Absolutely. So interesting. Derek, I want to move on to you. Annette had touched on this a little bit about the theme for the commemorating the day this year, which is trapped behind the scam. Could you help us unpack that further?
Of course, my colleagues have kind of touched the bit of it, but trapped behind the scam speaks into the deception online, the kind of fraud that happens online, the design now that speaks into the promises, the false promises online. This is entirely about deception. It's not real. It's what is unreal in respect to the scam. Ordinarily, you would think about it in respect to trickery. Someone plays the tricks with you. And like we said, it takes time because this person needs to understand you. Some of these victims are groomed over a year. Over a year. They take their time and they keep trying and again until they get you at that point of need. And like I said, unfortunately, verification of the information is a challenge. Whereas ordinarily, like a doctor has said, you have two victims now. The person that has been trafficked to engage in forced criminality, but there is also another person that is being defrauded by the trafficked person. So we have now to deal with two victims. The scope has expanded. And the trapping behind the scam now, to the attention of our people out there, online scamming has now come to us in the country. Unfortunately, it's no longer out there. The scammers have moved their scamming compounds into Uganda. And this is where we need the highest levels of vigilance, especially with the persons that rent out buildings, homes, because they need, first of all, they need a place that is confined to do this. And then they also need to use computers, they need to attract people, you know. But it starts with the space that you give them. You, the landlords and ladies that do this. So the fact that we have now the experience of the traffickers here in our country, by the way, not only in the country, but across the region now. In Kenya, in Tanzania, you will find the scamming compounds now. And if you remember, recently the police has been busting these compounds in Entebbe, in Koto, in Bugolobi, all over the country. And they are still masterminded by the gurus from Southeast Asia. The likes of Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, they moved back here with a group of them, and they have designed the same right here. So, as Doctor mentioned, whereas you think about trafficking transnationally, domestically, it's actually going to increase. That is my suspicion. Because initially we were not dealing with scamming compounds in the country. But now, in addition to the over 90% domestic cases, we are now going to experience an element of trafficking due to scamming compounds added to this. So, Ugandans out there, even as you look for a job domestically, even if it's online, you need to do thorough verification of what you're going to do. Feel free to move to the different authorities to seek this verification of information. Otherwise, even internally, we are going to face, or we are already facing this scamming happening to our people. And one very important thing is to do with our companies that are in the space of digital services. Telecom companies, for instance, banking organizations. These are targets because they know to access you is through the communication. And then what they need to exploit you first off is the finances. Beyond the finances, then they get into your mind, into exploitation, sexual exploitation online. We've seen this happen. And of course, at the end of the day, even this is done to be sold to someone waiting to watch online. So it's all about the money and everything that happens online. Then the online investments, there's a lot of scamming to do with investment in cryptocurrencies. So many people have been scammed. Very, very educated persons investing so much money into scams, only to end up with companies that disappear after a while, but with their monies. So it has left no one behind, whether poor or educated. It has taken up every one of us, and this is why we need to call upon the country and everyone at large.
Absolutely, and I think it's important what you said, that it's not just something that can happen to a certain sect of people. They figure out your vulnerability and they target you there. So we all need to be vigilant. Sarah, I'd like to move on to you. So the UN is bringing forth the EU Borderlands project. Perhaps you could talk to us a little bit about how the project is helping to fight human trafficking at the border areas between Uganda and the DRC.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy. So as you say, like, this is a project which is between the DRC and Uganda in the borderland area, supported by the European Union. And one of the areas, I think, because a lot of trafficking goes over the border, the coordination and cooperation between countries is extremely important. So this kind of project is strengthening basically the working together on trafficking cases beyond the border, between the authorities in DRC and the authorities in Uganda, between the civil society when it comes to referral cases. So in order to really strengthen and ensure also that these heinous crimes can be prosecuted. So this project, basically, a lot is also about awareness raising, right? That is what we do here today, and that's like the main message today is like, be aware of what is happening outside. The face of trafficking, as like Derek and Dr. Annette has said, is changing. It's not the poor female victim for sexual exploitation or household, which we normally also refer to as modern slavery. No, it is now that we are seeing victims as the male, educated, ones going abroad in the sake of jobs. So the face is changing. So we want to bring awareness of that to that and to the people in Uganda, in the borderland area, to be aware, like what to look out to in order to prevent that victims can be trafficked. Helping them, the project also helps with identification of victims, because it is very important sometimes, in particular in this topic that we're talking about today. Derek and Dr. Annette has talked that we have two victims, right? We have the victims to be scammed. Alone in the US in 2024, $10 billion were scammed out of people, out of this compound. It's huge. Globally, it's $150 billion per year scammed out of people. So like you have this kind of victim, and this is just a number we know. A lot of these crimes, as we said, are romanticizing. It's a boyfriend, you know. So in the end, after I gave maybe 20,000 to my boyfriend that I thought we have a relationship in, who is like in difficulties, after maybe half a year we've been talking on the phone, There's a case in France where somebody thought the boyfriend is Cristiano Ronaldo, because even they did phone calls, and they can have this software. You know, you really think you speak to Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know why Cristiano Ronaldo would need $20,000, but this is a different question. But it is really like the victims believe into that. So that, and of course, a lot of these victims that are scammed will not tell because they are ashamed, right?
Yeah.
So probably it is much higher, the number. But then there is this victim behind the victim that we were talking about, right? The one that is getting coerced to doing these crimes from 18 hours, like from the morning, and they're standing someone with a gun next to them, and they're really we're bringing back, I have spoken to some of the returnees, and it's horrific, the stories they tell you. You want to cry. You know, it is really horrific what they went through. However, when they come and they're being like raided, these compounds, sometimes they look as the perpetrators, right? They are the ones doing the scam on someone. You don't always see that they are victims themselves. So that is also like the awareness we want to raise today, is this victims identification, right? To see like they might look like perpetrators because they do this fraud on other people in the world, but they are victims themselves. They didn't have a possibility. They have been deceived. They cannot get out of these scams. If they are not getting their target, which they've been given every day on money, they might get like really harsh punishments, up to death, and they're working hard. So like this kind of like, what can we do in order to make sure that it's understood, as Dr. Annette and Derek say, there are two victims. It's not only the one who loses the money, one loses the mental mind, because by being coerced to do that. So that's also the project, is really working on victim identification, awareness about what can a victim look like, so not that they end up in prison, because that is what's happening all over the world. And then we're also working on referral systems. You see, like when we get a victim and that comes to us, we need to refer them to a shelter, to psychosocial support. That's why we work very close with the government and with the civil society, like Dr. Annette. They need support. They have gone through horrific areas, so that they have the right pathways, psychosocial support, etc. And then to help them to strengthen and to reintegrate themselves. These are very vulnerable victims that often have the risk of being re-trafficked. You go back into this cycle. You're not coming out of it, you know? So that's why it's so important. That's why we also here, my message to the community is really be open, be compassionate to the victims that come back. They have seen horrific areas, and we are not able to do all the psychological social support. Dr. Annette knows this much better than I do. So please, as churches, as communities, take these victims, help them. Some of them have paid a lot of money to get to these fake jobs. They're coming back embarrassed themselves. So I think as us, as a nation, it's very important that we take them in, and that these kind of like projects help us to build and give a little bit of hope back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. And Dr. Annette, let me come back to you. Perhaps you could tell us about CATIPU and what it's doing to address the crime of human trafficking in persons.
Yes, we call it CATIPU, but CATIPU in full is the Coalition Against Trafficking in Persons Uganda. And it's a network of civil society organizations, over 40 organizations, that are seeking to see the end of really a society free of human trafficking. We are dreaming, we don't know when. We were talking earlier with Sarah. Will this crime end in our lifetime? So this coalition brings together civil society, and most of us, many people know about the P's, the 4 P's, the prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnership, but most civil society organizations spread out and serve in any one of those 4 P's. We provide support, victim and survivor support, and protection services, legal aid, strengthening and training justice system actors, community sensitizations and awareness, and a lot of advocacy. So the civil society space has been very, very instrumental supporting government, because government doesn't have its own shelter. And as you've heard, Sarah has even mentioned, we have a gap with the males. And now the males that are even returning, they're not little boys that maybe they can go to a children's home for boys. They are male adults, and we don't have any shelter. The government doesn't have shelters, but also civil society, we are spread thin. We don't have lots of safe spaces, just for even a temporary space where a guy can come back and think and rethink and re-strategize and say, how do I re-enter my community? So we provide services for that. Many people are doing also community-based care. We're not only doing shelters as civil society, but we are limited on that. Lots of prevention work, awareness creation among the youth, the communities, various key stakeholders. Now I see the LC, we are changing leadership nationally at the grassroots. I think that's low-hanging fruit for us to train the new duty bearers in the community as civil society. How can they impact? How can they keep their communities safe? How can they raise awareness also? Or when people come to sign, the LC1 signs the letter. When you're going to get a passport or going where, are they also able to ask some important questions? So for us as civil society, as Katipu, that's what we've been doing, not only in Uganda, but also we've developed a regional network working with colleagues in Kenya, in South Sudan, in Ethiopia, Djibouti, and I think the EU has funded before the Better Migration Management Project that also helped us build an East African network. So that's what, really in brief, we coordinate, we cooperate, we train, we're an advocacy, we've been with government developing all the regulations for the different laws, working together on the National Action Plan. I think Uganda also trailblazes in the way the multi-agency collaboration is between Katipu and the Coordination Office and our development partners. I think as a country we've enjoyed that. We're not where we used to be. Definitely we want to do better, but we have moved some distance.
Amazing, amazing. Derek, I want to move on to you. Dr. Annette mentioned the 4 Ps. Yes. I want to touch on 1 P, which is prosecution. Perhaps you could tell us what the progress is and any challenges that you faced, if any.
Okay. In respect to prosecution, I must mention we work with the Office of Director, Public Prosecution, because it's the mandate. But this is also a joint effort with the Investigation Department, the CID, together with other stakeholders. Within the prosecution, our national report that we are launching today, 2025, the Counter-Trafficking in Persons report, indicates the cases that were reported to police up to 1,002. Now, these cases are an indication of a reduction also from the previous year, 2024, which was 1,068. For us, this percentage reduction is so meaningful to us, even if we save one person. However, of the 1,002, 393 were sent to court. You know, it's a process to prepare a file and statements and everything else by the police, of course working together with the Office of Director, Public Prosecution, because we deploy an approach that allows for the prosecution to lead. They guide, it's a prosecution guided investigation, so that we minimize the back and forth of bring this, bring that, you missed this, and all that. However, of the 393 that were taken to court, the cases, we managed to secure 42 convictions. And for us, this is a plus. Even if you went to the region, Uganda still ranks highest in achieving prosecutions when it comes to convictions, when it comes to trafficking in persons cases. So our DPP department, our agency, is doing a tremendous job together with the investigators of police, but also together with all other agencies that we work with. Allow me bring to your attention also the element of the population. we are speaking about the digital online trafficking and the like, but the majority of our people that are victimized, again, we analyze that we have the high category of the youth. Over 70% of our population are youth, and they have access to all these gadgets. They don't need to have a job to have a gadget. They have access to all this, and when you add the children, it takes us to over 80% youth and children. Remember, even the children now have access to the same gadgets that you have. They have access to information, limitless, unless you, the parent, the guardian, comes out and maybe puts some limitation. However, they will go online and access everything, even when they are doing their personal reading maybe, or kids' information, they can access. Unfortunately, the trafficker doesn't care whether they are talking to a child, as long as they are meeting the relationship between them and the child. We've seen this happen quite often, especially in the UK. There are quite a number of cases where the traffickers ended up molesting these children, but it all started in the digital space, online. And we also have some of those peculiar cases in the country where young boys have faced this, and it's unfortunate. So, but specific to prosecution, we are doing a great job, and we do this jointly. It's never done in isolation, because you cannot do this. However, also the Office of Director of the Prosecution has gone ahead to create synergies across the region, working with the DPP Kenya and the others across the region, creating a relationship to allow for ease transnational crime prosecution, where we have cases that go beyond the border. So now they have a relationship that they can communicate, that can allow them to share information, that can allow them to even prosecute some of these cases where traffickers have gone to hide elsewhere. It's also provided within the law that we can have extraterritorial jurisdiction, but limited to Attorney General's consent, of course.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, I want to move on to you. So we see often that the IOM has aided victims of trafficking in returning back home. So how does that exactly work? How can someone find the IOM if they're, say, in Myanmar or Cambodia?
Yeah, thank you, Tracy, for this question. So just to say, like, the estimations, like how many people are being trafficked in this area in Southeast Asia, for example, is about 300,000. The estimation in like victims of trafficking in these compounds in Myanmar is about 120,000. So just in order to give you a little bit the magnitude of what we are talking about. And the way, like, I just want to mention this shortly, like the way the trafficking happens, how they are ending up there in Myanmar in these trafficking compounds, is often that they've been used like online adverts, Telegram, etc. They're going through like a very professional kind of application process. You have your interviews, you come to Thailand or often now to Malaysia with the route where you get picked up, you get your visa, and then you've been taken over the border. So in Myanmar itself, you have all these kind of factories, scam factories, big in the jungle. So it's very difficult to find. So, and they're sitting there and they're doing their scams under really heavy surveillance, mostly from what we understand run by highly organized like gangs, often Chinese gangs. And they are like, and a lot of these compounds are like in Myanmar. Myanmar itself is looking into like raiding them. And that's why we have now so many people that are stranded, for example, in Cambodia. The last estimation that I got this morning, that is 1,600 Ugandans stranded in Cambodia after the raids in Myanmar that are waiting to be repatriated back to their country, Uganda. This is just one country. So, and many of the Ugandans getting used because of the end victim being English speaking. Ugandans are young, Ugandans are educated, Ugandans speak very well English. So they are the ones being trafficked for the market in the US, UK and Australia. So then, like, what happens is IOM is not getting involved in now, like, freeing the victims in the compounds in Myanmar. This is beyond our mandate and beyond anything that we can do. This is the government of Myanmar. They're raiding it. They're working together. They're working together with the authorities in Thailand, in Uganda, etc. And if this then happens, the victims are often, unfortunately, still brought, as I say, in prisons, because the first kind of instinct is that there might be the perpetrators. But this is changing now slowly, so they're getting released. And then normally what happens is that the government, who is the first one in the first authority and the first contact, will bring them in contact with IOM. So we have offices in Cambodia, in Thailand, in Myanmar, like wherever they are located, they come to us. And the first thing that we are doing is a kind of an assessment, like in order to assess, are there victims of trafficking, what are their needs, what is their situation, where they're coming from. And then we are supporting with basically getting the travel documents to go back home, supporting with the flights, and then back home also with the very important reintegration, so that this re-trafficking, or what Derek talked about, the risk of using this skill that has now been acquired, been used again. So the reintegration is a very important part. So we're working with the offices in the country of origin, with the government. It's a very complex operation. It's getting more complex because some of the people, like the victims, have overstayed their visa. So they might not be let out by the government, or they need to pay huge fines in order to leave the country. So all these are discussions that then also happening on the high level of the government of Uganda with the other countries, or like as a regional bloc. And that's why this cooperation and coordination among states is so important, because that they find solutions. And then, of course, also the interest, because it's a very expensive to bring people back, to help them to reintegrate. So like they're often like partners like the European Union or the US government, the UK government come in to support, because we can only, and at the moment I must tell you that what we're having available to support is a drop of the hot stone. And that is a problem, because the people are waiting in Cambodia, the Ugandans wanting to come back, but we don't have even the financial means to do always that. So I think there's a lot of work that, and that's why this awareness is so important, because if people understand what is needed, we hope that there will be also more support from the international community through funding in order to bring more of these victims back in the understanding that they really need our help. So I think like in the last couple of years, we have brought about 3,000 back, like from the Southeast Asia, but it is, as I say, just imagine that 120,000 at the moment are trapped in Myanmar. It's a drop on the hot stone.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Dr. Nez, I want to come to you. I want to ask you, just on that point, she talked about the issues of financing. So perhaps you could tell us what kind of trends are you seeing in financing and also for counter-trafficking?
Wow, what kind of trends are we seeing? There's so much need, as she has already said, Sarah has said, and no one to help. And also one of the hardest things is there's still a huge gap between even being rescued from the compound to getting to IOM, because who is the player there? How do you, it's such a complex crime because you're left to escape as a means of leaving the compound. So escape can't be your strategy because it's a 50-50 thing. If I escape and run away, who intercepts me along the way? So in terms of financing right from that stage, there are many calls for us to repatriate the air tickets. There's a gap there. We've already talked about the male victims or survivors that are returning. There's almost no services for them. And even just the usual trafficking, You know, trafficking responses, victim support, survivor support is very resource intense. You're not just talking about a person coming and eating food. They have medical needs, they have injuries, they have bones broken and all kinds of medical things. So there is a huge gap there. There's a huge gap in providing trauma-informed care. When we talk about trauma-informed care, you're thinking about holistic care. And a context of an individual, just imagine somebody who left a family behind. What does care look like for them? Do you come back and put them in a shelter? What about their family? So we need lots of resources. I've not even just talked about finances, but even medical and space, job placement, feeding, safe spaces, paying off debt, some are in debt bondage, tickets for bringing them back home and all that. So yes, there is a huge, huge gap. Most of us are talking about it. It's very easy to find many organizations feel like the return on investment in this space is, if I give you $10,000, Tracy, to care for a victim of trafficking or a survivor, if you squeeze it, you'll support two. When I give you $10,000, you might train 35 duty bearers. And it might look more impressive to train 35 duty bearers because you're looking return on investment, $10,000 to 35 people trained, $10,000 to 2 survivors supported. So we are having that calculation and that mindset, and it's really, really tough. So we need to open up. The community needs to understand that it's easier for you to travel and go abroad, but it's very, very, very difficult to return. Even when you get good-natured people who want you to return, there are countries I don't want to name here that even if you have money, their policy don't allow foreign money to come into the organizations in the country. So you can't. And then also places like Myanmar and Cambodia, who would you send the money to buy a ticket? Even if as a family you came together, as friends you came together to get the money. Do you take the money to Sarah? Do you take it to Derek to send it back, or do you buy tickets? So even the intricacies of moving resources to get people, that's why the theme trapped behind the scam is such a key phrase. Trapped. You are trapped. You go in willingly, but you're actually trapped at so many levels. So it's not just even financing, even the coordination. Who do I speak to? Who is in Cambodia? I even wanted to add the non-prosecution clause, that because some countries, they are penalizing you, you're a perpetuator, but when do we, how do we strengthen that clause so that victims are identified as victims? Because I think before you're even screened and identified as a victim, you're not going to receive the kind of support. You're actually going to end up in detention, you're going to end up in prison, and then how do we locate you? So finances are one thing, networks are another, even just the capacity to handle intelligence. When I have information, who do I pass it on? Where is the chain of command for intelligence information for people to be rescued? Do we trust the systems that actually this information will go and the person will be rescued? What about the people, the players? Because we're not talking it came together strongly with financial institutions that have their own cyber people, and then together they come and sit at the same table and discuss what is this industry, what are the platforms that can be made more secure, the integrity of the digital platforms, together government and private sector. And then information sharing. There's usually a lot of information out there, but it leaks. Where does it go? If the banker flags, if the cyber guy flags, then how do we link this? And then for us, civil society, we're always there to engage and move across information, share learning, but also support the victims. So I think the private sector can be called in to be a solution to work on prevention, not just to provide for protection and everything and jobs and everything, but I think the investment from the private sector, together with the investment of the government with the expertise they have in cyber, we can chip on this big, big mountain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The power of collaboration.
Yes, the power of collaboration.
Absolutely. Derek, I just want to come to you as we bring this to a close. Perhaps you could tell us how can we stay safe out there, like to the Ugandans watching from home? What can we do to remain vigilant, and how do we protect ourselves and protect the people around us? If you could just tell us briefly, because we are pressed for time.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. First off, you must verify information. A lot of information is flowing out there to you, and you're a target. But if you don't verify the information, then you're going to be trapped there. Information verification, like Doctor said, government has all these institutions that can support with information verification. Let's utilize them. If we're not sure of something, let's run to the nearest police. At least you can alert them on what you see. But secondly, in the private sector support and partnership, all those companies that are in the space, the digital space, they can support government on this. Absolutely, because they have the technique, they have the professionals, they have all these gadgets. And this is also accessed by the traffickers. But they have their controls. So information sharing is very key, where they have information to share with us as government so that we can step in there. But lastly, I must say that ending trafficking in persons starts with you, Tracy, starts with me. The media has a lot of power to support us here, and we must leverage on the same technology that the traffickers are using. We must create what they are creating to counter it. This is the approach. And awareness raising, absolutely, awareness raising. Every time you have us here and in other places, it means the world to our people there.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Derek. Sarah, as we move on to you, perhaps as you share your final message, you could also tell us what strategy the IOM sees as potent for prevention of young people falling victim to human trafficking.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy, and really thank you for taking all this time to discuss that. And I echo Derek, so I hope you will keep this even more further, and all our viewers as well, this message. I think prevention, I will not touch again on awareness raising. That is the most important one, really, to make an informed decision. And I just want to mention one of the government entities that you have, which is the Migrant Worker Support Center, which is hosted by the Minister of Labour and Gender, which has a list of recruitment agencies that have an ethical standard. So maybe it is good sometimes to double check. I think one of the things also, if it sounds too good, maybe think twice. Some things that sound too good are just too good to be true. I went the other day to Makerere University and I saw an ad at the thing, and it had basically was saying, I new graduates, I give you $3,000, call this number. It was not saying who is behind that, what it exactly needs, where you're going. I mean, it sounded, first of all, fishy, and second of all, it sounded definitely too good to be true. So be vigilant. Just because it's hanging there doesn't mean that it is really verified and that this is true. I think one of the areas that Doctor has mentioned at the beginning for prevention is that for us, for IOM, migration needs to be a choice, not out of desperation, out of vulnerability. That means there need to be jobs and opportunities for youth here in Uganda. So we're working on that. It is really important that they have a choice to make to migrate, and not because they feel they have to. And that there will be also more, let's say, regular pathways for Ugandans, young Ugandans, to go into the world. You have so much to bring to the table for the world. So I think that is very, very important. And last but not least is also the situation migration on arrival, right? Sometimes you arrive, and that we hear more and more cases now, people, Ugandans being trafficked, for example, out of Dubai. It doesn't need to be necessarily here. So the government now, for example, is strengthening at their embassy and having labor attachés, which will help a little bit in order to give more information also when you arrive. And as Dr. said, to whom to come to when you're in this country, to who to reach out. So that is it, and I really, really hope like whoever is listening to that takes it up, shares it further. This information needs to be shared, that the face of trafficking is changing so that we have less victims to be rescued later, and that we can make really migration journey a positive journey for the Ugandans, for Uganda and the country where they go to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Annette, I'll let you have the last word.
My parting shot is actually a question. What comes after today? Are we just going back to business as usual? We've been here, we've commemorated World Days Against Trafficking, but sometimes it feels, oh, we are done, the activity is done, we go back. So what would I want to see? I would really want to see government and the private sector in the room to handle digital safety, integrity. You have so much resource. The private sector has so much resource. Not only just financial, expertise, strategy. We can invest there so that we make the digital space safe, because this time we are really, really looking at that trapped behind the scam. What would I want to say to the general public? Let's continue being vigilant. These trends switch so fast. They innovate and are faster. For Ugandans, the scam compounds are here. They are here in the country. We are eloquent in English, as Sarah said. So let's be mindful. If it's too good to be true, consult. Please go to Derek's office, Ministry of Internal Affairs, the coordination office. Come to us. Bump into Sarah if you can, somewhere, and inquire. Go to Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Go to your communities. But think twice. Don't fall for the secrecy that the trafficker always has. They always tell you it's a secret. Other people won't. Bring it out in the open. I have this opportunity. Is it legit? Is it real? Media, thank you for this opportunity. Please be our mouthpiece. You reach further than we can. Let's use everything to sensitize, to raise awareness, but also to see when you get the stories, when you get the intelligence. Derek is the man to go to because he will lead us to law enforcement. And together, let's remain safe. I'm leaving this day wondering, is this it? Are we going to do more? Yes.
Thank you all so much for being here and for sharing this information. I think it's very important, and I like what you've all highlighted is that they come to you based on where you're at. You know, if you're sophisticated, they'll come to you in a sophisticated way. So it's no longer just it has a specific face. They find you at your point of vulnerability. So I think it's very important what you've shared here so that we as the ordinary Ugandans can also learn how to protect ourselves and how to protect those around us. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. I really appreciate having you here today.
Thank you,
Thank you too.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning into Breakfast Meeting. We'll be right back after a short break.
Billions are invested, promises are made, projects are launched. But what happens after the ribbon is cut? Are public fans delivering results? Are communities seeing the impact? Every Sunday, NBS Television follows the money, audits the promises, and examines the projects shaping Uganda with facts, evidence, and voices from the ground. Fixing Uganda. Auditing progress, demanding accountability. Every Sunday, only on NBS Television. Every morning, Uganda wakes up to the stories that matter. From breaking news and top headlines to the conversations shaping the national agenda. NBS Morning Breeze brings you the voices, facts, and perspectives you need to start your day informed. politics, business, social issues, current affairs, live interviews, real debate, insightful, engaging, and afraid. This is where the day begins, where leaders are questioned, ideas are challenged, and Uganda speaks. Wake up to Uganda's most engaging morning conversation. NBS Morning Breeze, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
NBS. Always.
Influence is more than followers, it's impact. At Next Influencer, we connect brands with the right voices through a thorough vetting and discovery process. We onboard influencers with hands-on workshops that build skills, unlock real opportunities, and fuel professional growth. Brands find the perfect match, influencers get dignified jobs, and audiences experience authentic stories.